Oh my goodness, Xun. That intro has me hyped up. Boys, we are back for ASL 20. It's time for Group A. It is going to be a lot of fun. I am just so hyped to get right into the action, Xun. We're getting here in the round of 24. It's so crazy. You guys know, all best of ones, and there are so many great players, so many legends this season.
Oh my gosh, it's such a trial by fire in this round of 24, Saiyan. And like the last time we did this in ASL season 19, I could not sleep very well last night. I even got up super early. I've just been hyped. It really does feel like Christmas in the summer when ASL rolls by like this. And there's just presents under the tree to unwrap every single day. We get to wake up and bring you these great games. I'm super stoked. And what better way to kick off this group? I mean, this whole event with none other than Sharp, Larva, Stork, and Ample. That's a really solid group. And Larva, the foot gamer himself, coming back into the scene. He's probably been very busy with his wife and kids and some other issues that he had to resolve, but he's back, and I'm super stoked.
Yeah, there's two of my absolute favorite players in the world, Sharp and Larva, in this group. I'm so scared that one of them's going to get eliminated, Xun. I'm so frightened, but I'm so excited at the same time. Ample and Stork are awesome as well, and I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys. I put out a tier list recently, and so many of you guys said I was sleeping on Ample, so I'm really interested to see what he can do.
Well, let me clue you in a little bit as to why maybe they're saying that, saying Ample has been #1 on the ladder for quite some time now, and he's also a little bit less aggressive than he used to be, and he kind of was only a Terran versus Protoss specialist back in the day, but all of his qualifier matches were Terran versus Zerg, and they were pretty convincing wins at that. So I would say now he's a much more well-rounded player, and he's been working like crazy hard recently, saying, not to mention he beat Action in the finals of the qualifiers here.
Yeah, that is impressive. Taking down Action is something else, but will he be able to stand up to Larva and Sharp? Those two guys are crazy good. I mean, we really need to see what type of shape Larva is in. I was watching some of his games, some of his ladder games, and he wasn't looking too hot, but he likes to clown around a lot in ladder, so I'm not putting too much emphasis on that. I'm really hoping we're going to see a great showing from him here today.
Yeah, just briefly taking a look at this map pool here. We've got some really good staples: Dominator, Metropolis, Radiant, and Polestar, as well as 3 new wild card maps. We've got that Screaming Sea, Knockout, and Litmus, and we'll talk a little bit more about those maps later on. But I also want to give a big shout out and an honorable mention here to Mihu. Larva actually beat Mihu in the finals of his qualifiers, but that's the first time a non-Korean has made it that far in the qualifiers for so many years, saying I can't even explain to you how crazy that is. And Mihu somehow beat Motive 2-0 to get to the finals, by the way. So Mihu's playing insane. I definitely don't know exactly how good Larva has been playing. He seemed pretty solid in his games against Mihu, but I have no idea how he's going to stack up against the likes of Sharp and Ample. They are much more potent Terrans to handle. And there was also another honorable mention here to Fengzi. That's another really good, strong Chinese player who also made it to the finals. So these foreigners are really coming up into the world, and we might even have a non-Korean in the ASL in the future, guys.
That would be so hype, Xun. I would love to see a foreigner make their way over to Korea and perform on the big stage for us. I'm sure that they're going to have a tough time. All the players are going to be communicating with each other. That's one of the big advantages of it being in Korea and speaking Korean, is that you can communicate with these guys. You can share strategies and practice non-stop with some of the best players in the world. So it's really impressive to see those foreigners even making it to the finals of their qualifying group.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just another big shout out to DeWalt. He actually did win his first match in the qualifiers, but then got knocked out 2-1 in the next stage. So, yeah, even a non-Asian foreigner, punching above his weight in the qualifiers. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some non-Korean blood here on this soil not before long. Saying it could be the next ASL. Who knows? I'm going to be doing mental backflips if that comes to pass, though.
Yeah, that would be something else. Breaking new ground. You're getting into the history books, whoever makes it in first. There hasn't been a non-Korean in a major StarCraft 1 tournament since, I think it was GruGloG way back in the day. What was that, 2002? Shun, you know this history better than I do.
Yeah, my mind is just currently overwhelmed, saying I can't even believe that ASL is already around the corner and we're about to jump into it. It's almost too good to be true. Like, someone pinch me. Am I in the Matrix? Like, this doesn't feel real to me.
We're about to introduce the players. I think gonna have a bit of a interview here before, and a little bit surprised that we're hearing the Korean voices right now. I thought we were going to not be hearing that. Clayton's stream is having a bit of troubles right now, guys. But we'll maybe mute the stream for now. What do you think, Shun?
Yeah, we could mute the audio just for a second there.
We'll turn that down.
I'm completely nerding out right now, saying, like, I feel more like a fan than a caster, is all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm such a big fan of at least two of these guys on the stage, Larva and Sharp. I'm really hoping that they can make it through. Of course, Stork has a special place in my heart, the King of Silver. Been watching him since the Caspa era. He's done so great over the years, and he's been still getting into the ASL for a long time. I can't believe he's still making it in here, but he's still got something to give, and I think that his PVT is looking better than it ever has. PVT is strong, but can he overcome the difficulties of PvZ? So many good Zerg players in this tournament.
If my predictions come to pass, I think that Sharp will beat Ample in the Terran versus Terran the first game. And I also think Larva will beat Stork. Stork not so good in that versus Zerg matchup. So I think Larva's going to beat Stork in that second match. And then that means in the losers match, we're going to have Stork versus Ample. I think that'll be one of the better PVTs of the tournament, especially in the round of 24.
Yeah, I think this is actually a great group for Stork. Having this many Terran players in his group is amazing. And yeah, it's just kind of the stars have aligned here for him. If he's able to take down Ample and Sharp, I don't think he can take down Sharp, but maybe he can beat Ample. It's going to be hard to get through Larva, though. It just really depends on his form here today.
Yeah, I don't see Stork or Ample actually getting out of this group. I'm probably maybe overhyping Larva a little bit there. Ample probably has a very strong chance of breaking through this group. He's such a solid player. I just think Sharp is too good in TVT for him to get that game one victory. If somehow Ample did beat Sharp in the first match, then this would completely flip this group on its head, and I don't know how to call it at all. But my predictions are Sharp and Larva are breaking through here. I don't think Stork is going to be able to do it. I think he will give us a good game against Ample, maybe in the losers match, but I think he's going to get taken down in the finals match regardless.
Yeah, I think there's a really good chance that he ends up in that losers match, but hopefully he can bring us some great games here today. We're going to start off with Sharp versus Ample, and then we're going to go over to Larva versus Stork. So a little bit unfortunate there for Stork that he doesn't get to start off with a PVT.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this handsome nerd on screen right now. You see the size of this guy's legs. I mean, maybe that's why he wants to play with them occasionally, just so that he could show off those beautiful quads. I mean, look at that guy. He's a chunky monkey in the best of ways.
Yeah, he is an absolute legend. Starfoot Gamer there on screen. He is one of those guys who just has such a big personality, and he really gets to show it off here on stage in some of these interviews. Sometimes I really wish that I spoke Korean so I could kind of understand what he's saying. He's just such a funny guy. He's like Shuttle, except with way more swag.
Right, right. I'm gonna get a little shot here of Ample as well. I mean, I have no idea where these guys are gonna line up against one another, but my predictions are just Sharp and Larva are too good, man. Like, I would be really upset if Larva somehow gets knocked out in this group, just to wear my heart on my sleeve. I want to see this guy at least in the round of 16, ideally the round of 8. I don't think he can go all the way and win this ASL season 20, but having him around as a contender will be such a treat for me, at least.
Yeah, on the very far left there, Sharp, who's had some health problems recently, wasn't able to perform quite at his best in the last season, but the season before that managed to get into that final spot. He's been showing some great games in other tournaments like the KZM. He's been absolutely blasting nerds left, right, and center, and I think he's going to be in peak form today, Xun, maybe going for a deep run this season.
Oh, it certainly could be happening, Sen. And sometimes, we talked a little bit about this before. We kind of want to be wrong with our predictions. Like, nothing is more exciting than when the unexpected happens and there's crazy upsets and players are falling when they shouldn't. And players you kind of didn't really think could hang actually have been practicing super hard and can easily smash their way through. It's so exciting when we see craziness happen in the ASL. And we could see sparks flying already in Group A. I think Ample definitely more than capable of upsetting this group and taking out either Larva or Sharp, but I'll have to wait and see.
And guys, while we have a little bit of downtime, I want to say that I really appreciate, and we really appreciate all the support received during the last season of ASL, but I want to update you on some news and explain how support works for our ASL cast. So when it comes to support, StarCastTV and us, Xun and I, are very much separate. StarCastTV is a Korean caster who helps us communicate with Soup, and he helps us get the clean stream. He has permission as well from Soup to upload our ASL cast to YouTube, the cast that we're doing here on Soup Live right now. You can support him and his tournament, the SCSL, through the StarCastTV Patreon or StarCastTV ASL Cast Patreon page. So those Patreon pages, they don't have anything to do with us as casters, and we don't receive any of that support.
Yeah, basically the ASL page was created to pay for Scan to do the ASL, but it didn't reach quite a high enough threshold. So it's been mainly going just to support the SCSL and the StarCastTV instead. So we don't actually get any of that money, but we are the ASL casters and do get half of the money from your gem donations and subscriptions on our stream over at souplive.com/SETVEN. However, many of you guys aren't able to tune in to watch us live. So if you would like to support us directly, well, now you can by going over to our newly created Patreon page, Saiyan Xun Duo Casts. Just search for Saiyan Xun, scroll down, and it'll be there.
That's SAIYANXUN Duo Casts. And yeah, it's the best way for you guys to support our duo cast for the ASL, SCSL, and KCM. Also, if you're not into Patreon, still go over and check out the page because we posted a link with our PayPal information as well.
Yeah, we just want to be as transparent as possible with you guys about how your money is being allocated and provide you with additional methods of support so you can help us out any way that you like.
That's right, guys. We're just about ready here. Looks like the interviews are wrapping up, and we're going to be getting into this first game. I am so excited here, Xun, just to get started. We're going to start off with a TVT.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be Dominator, I believe. I mean, I think this map pool actually will be very exciting in general here, saying because it's got these 3 new wild card maps, which are kind of throwing a wrench in the works for all the Zergs. A bit of an anti-Sulky type routine. We've seen that happen in the past with Flash, where they tried to make all the maps as anti-Terran as possible to make it harder for that guy to keep winning, and he still somehow kept winning. But we might not necessarily see a repeat of that. There's a lot of anti-Zerg maps here in the map pool now. They're going to have to dig deep and come up with some very creative builds to overcome the deficit of some of these maps.
Oh yeah, some of these maps are absolutely wild, and they are actually live on the ladder right now and giving me a lot of headaches. Should there are so many little intricacies that have been added, like for example, Litmus that only has, or that has 2 gases, but each gas only has 3,000 gas
Right.
inside of it. So weird. Kind of like a mix of Optimizer and so many other different maps, but Optimizer had 1 full
Yeah.
gas and 1 half gas. Now we've got 2 half gases, and there's just so much weirdness that comes with that. I've seen a lot of players, a lot of pro players kind of messing around with it and having a hard time trying to figure out the best way of utilizing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like a blend of like lots of different maps, like Optimizer, Dark Origin, and Blitz Y all rolled into one. It's kind of interesting. Looking at the statistics here, you can see why we were rating Sharp so highly as being able to take down Ample here. 60% win rate in that mirror matchup. 55 games played, 33 wins, only 22 losses. This guy is a monster in mirror matchups.
Yeah, he absolutely is a monster, and I love him so much. He's such a cool guy. Um, Again, had some health problems. He's making a comeback, though. He wants to make his mark here in ASL 20.
Yeah, and I mean, Ample, we haven't seen a lot from him in these pro games. He hasn't really been able to break through onto the stage that often, but he is playing K-League a lot. He is the #1 guy on the ladder, definitely capable of taking down Sharp here, taking a big, deep breath, getting some oxygen into his lungs and his bloodstream. He needs to perform on all cylinders, calm his nerves, and settle himself down, because this is going to be a crazy game #1.
Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. I know a lot of you guys are hyped to see Ample. I'm happy to be wrong with my predictions, but I think that Sharp should be able to take this one home. He is just so quick. He's able to get in there and get that damage done against even the very best players in the world. The strongest defenders still have trouble holding this guy's vultures out of their base.
Yeah, and since it's an offline event, nerves do come into play a lot more than just your skill level alone. Sharp's been on the stage more than enough. He's as cool as a cucumber, whereas Ample not really had the limelight too much, so maybe having a little bit of an issue keeping his nerves under control and performing at his absolute A game. I think we just had Ash Ketchum, by the way, in the audience there. That was definitely a league hat, right? And then Ash Ketchum costume or something, or cosplay in that audience.
Something like that. I also saw some references to the Tastosis cast there, talking about storming a defiler. And I know that Tasteless thought that was impossible. It's not something that you do, but a lot of players have been making fun of him for it. It's a pretty funny little meme there that they've got going on.
Yeah, but both players are ready. We're about to get started, guys. The ASL Season 20 Group A, Sharp versus Ample. Let's get it on.
All right, guys, we are in game. And I hope the audio is all queued up for you. Let me know in the chat if there's anything wrong, if we need to turn up the volume here a little bit. We are just getting into this fresh season. We're still ironing out the kinks a little bit. We're also working with the Spanish cast here to bring you guys a cast. They actually let me know that their clean stream wasn't working about 10 minutes before the cast, so we had a bunch of running around to do right before the cast started to try and get them a link to our cast as well.
Yeah, but we're more than happy to help out our guys across the pond and make sure that they can bring the Spanish community these great games live. And I mean, what better time to be alive saying than this? I mean, StarCraft, we thought these guys weren't going to be able to play as professional gamers much into their 30s. We thought like late 20s was going to be the cutoff point for a lot of these guys, and they just wouldn't be able to keep up with the speed necessary to play at a pro level. How wrong we were. I mean, most of these guys are in their mid 30s, a lot of them in their late 30s as well, and it seems as long as their wrists are screwed on tightly enough, they can hang.
Yeah, born too late to explore the Earth, too early to explore the stars, just in time to watch ASL 20 unfold. It's the perfect time to be alive, guys. We are starting off here with a barracks up on high ground for Ample. Sharp predicting that his opponent's going to be down in that southern area. Going to start his barracks at the bottom of his base and get ready to float that out for some scouting information. And we're just going to have to wait and see how these two want to approach Dominator here, which can be such a difficult map when it comes to controlling all these different lanes and all these different pizza slices. So many high ground locations to work with and to keep your tank line safe.
Well, it seems like Ample wants to go for a bunker expand here and be a little bit on the greedy side of the spectrum. Might be a bit too risky to go for a straight up 14cc, but a lot safer to go for this bunker expand and set up a little bit of a wall in the natural to body block those vultures from getting in, whereas Sharp, much more traditional opening, 12 gas into a 229 factory opening, wants to play as middle of the road as possible, maybe feeling so confident against Ample that he doesn't need to open up anything too cheeky and you know, or take any unnecessary risks here.
Yeah, I really like Sharp when he goes for super early gas, guys. Like, he often throws down that 11 gas and tries to get a vulture across the map as quickly as possible. Just start the pressure early, and then he never usually lets up.
Yeah, and trying to squeeze in with this SCV scout, though, Sharp's Marine timing just a little bit too solid, and he's gone for that 2 Marine opening, which is really safe against any potential proxy barrack shenanigans. Sometimes you'll see Terran players get away with just 1 Marine and then lift off the barracks, but you could just straight up die, especially without a high ground ramp to fall back to defend from. So very wise to make 2 Marines here from Sharp, both denying the SCV scout and being safe against any shenanigans.
It's Ample who's on the defensive for now. The scout has gone through. Sharp sees the bunker, and so he knows that he's in a bit of a deficit here. We'll see how he wants to make that up. Is he going to go ahead and throw down a starport? Maybe go for some sort of drop play? There's going to be another building here soon. I imagine Ample just going to completely wall off that front, and then you just can't run by anymore with vultures.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, we see such high-level vulture control from Sharp in general in pretty much any matchup, but I'm not sure if he wants to run it down with vultures this game. Like, he hasn't even bothered trying to start a second factory just yet, which means I think he's going to try and avoid like a vulture war type scenario. He realizes that with this bunker expand, it's not wise to commit too heavily into those vulture units. He's just going to predominantly use them for scouting and map control initially. And I wonder how teched out either of these players wants to be. I think, yeah, Ample's going to ramp up his production and just throw down factories, but I'm curious, is Sharp going to throw down an early starport here or not?
Well, he's going to get in and seize the triple factory, coming forward to try and get a couple of kills here on some of these SCVs. Ooh, just barely doesn't get that second kill, but survives with the vulture. That's very important because he just finished up the mine upgrade, so he would have been denied those 3 mines had that vulture ended up going down.
Yeah, he's just now thrown down something in his main base. That could be, you know, something like a starport there in the corner of Sharp's base. Yes, it is. Okay, that makes total sense. He's gone 2-fact into starport versus this 3-factory potential vulture play here from Ample. In a lot of Terran versus Terran games, you'll see a lot of vultures being produced by either side, and sometimes it's a matter of who blinks first and stops producing vultures could face a world of hurt. But Sharp just knows that going for pure vulture here not going to be optimal. He's going to even start to provide a bit of a semi-wall in his natural expansion, make a depot that he can plug up that gap with a tank and some vultures and make it harder for Ample to leverage this swarm of vultures that will be coming his way.
Yeah, with this many factories being thrown down, no second gas, and just continuing to ramp up this production. Ample looks to be going for a vulture. We're already a tank out here at the front for Sharp, though. He's managed to get that unit out. I'm a little... Oh, a second tank as well. That's interesting. He's going to have a lot of firepower to try and push this back while getting a drop into the main base. If this comes in as Ample is pushing across the map with the vultures, it could do a lot of damage, and I don't think that Ample can get much over on the side of Sharp with those 2 tanks already.
Right, basically Ample needs like golden mine connections somehow onto these tanks to have any chance of breaking through here. 2 tanks in that wall in with a bunker is almost unbreakable for this amount of vultures. He has gone pretty heavy into this commitment with 4 factories as well. One thing that Ample can do to kind of compensate for not being able to break Sharp, though, is lay down mines all over the map and make it exceedingly difficult for Sharp to move out himself, and then he could lead by taking a 3rd base early on here. And Ample could try and leapfrog his position in the game. You can already see him start to lay down a lot of mines now, but the dropship for Sharp making its way downtown on this left-hand side of the map on that vertical axis. If somehow Ample's not prepared to defend against this, he could take a lot of damage.
Ooh, he's going to bait with these 2 vultures, pulling a lot of Ample's defenses over to this right-hand side. He's chasing 2 vultures with like 10 vultures or 12 vultures of his own, and now a bunch of SCVs are going to go down. This is masterfully done by Sharp. He's going to continue to pick these vultures up and get as much damage as he can. The surround was pretty good with some of those SCVs, but a lot of damage has been done.
Yeah, this is basically 101 StarCraft at the pro level. Like, you never want to play straight up. You want to be like a magician doing misdirection and like wave your hand to the left while the hook to the right is coming forward. And these little 1-2 punch combinations is how you force interactions and blindside your opponent. Another vulture run by squeezing in here, as well as the Wraith coming into pew pew with the burst lasers onto these SCVs and the natural expansion. Armory just now finished, so he'll at least kill 1 or 2 more SCVs here in the natural with that Wraith, just to do some chip damage to Ample and slow down his SCV production ever so slightly. We do have a lot of map control still, though, for Ample, so maybe once he gets a Goliath out and stabilizes this position, he could try and take a 3rd.
Ample he's just getting outplayed right now. There's no 2 ways about it. Sharp is all over him, and he completely defended that perfectly over in his natural. Tried to throw down some of those miracle mines that you were talking about earlier, and Sharp was able to immediately target all of those down. And you can see Ample supply is pretty high, but he's basically been filling that out with just chaff. Lots and lots of vultures that aren't really going to scale into the later stages of the game, whereas Sharp's been pumping primarily tanks. And he's got a bunch of Wraiths here, so the quality of his army is way higher.
Right.
And he's done a bunch of SCV damage at the same time. So he's completely negated the early advantage of that opening from Ample. And now he's in a great spot, going to start to come out on his pizza slice while continuing these aggressive drops into the main base.
Yeah, the mines have spotted that dropship making its way to the southeastern corner of the map, so probably won't be super successful with that attempt. Seems like Ample's on top of things, but now we see that 3rd base coming down from Ample. Does manage to snipe the SCV, though. Sharp being a little bit annoying there. Every time you snipe a building SCV, it slows down the expansion by at least 30 seconds, potentially up to a minute, depending on how quickly they send another SCV. So here comes another drop into the main base while Ample was distracted with those vultures over at the 3rd base. He's just getting pulled left and right here. Mines going down onto those tanks as well. Kills some SCVs, and the tank Sharp is playing out of his mind right now. This is crazy. He can even now, while Ample is distracted on the defense and stabilizing back at home, use this breathing room to start setting up his own 3rd base.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and try to get that set up. Ample struggling here to respond to this 2-pronged attack with the drop and the Wraiths coming in here. He's starting to lose quite a few SCVs at the same time. That base at the center left is a little bit exposed. We're going to see some vultures come in and snipe that SCV again. Look at Sharp just constantly poking and prodding at Ample and putting him on the back foot over and over.
I mean, it's crazy. He's just like literally kicking out the chair under Ample whenever he tries to screw in the light bulb. It's absolutely insane what Ample has to contend with right now. It's not even like a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, but these little tiny micro advantages really start to snowball and compound in a game like StarCraft, especially at the highest levels of play. These little micro advantages really start to stack up and start to overwhelm one another. And Sharp is looking crazy strong strong right now. We see a pretty even army supplies from both players, a lot more vultures available to Ample, but the longer the game goes on, the worse those units are. They're essentially, like you say, just fodder and chaff and just soaking up damage and exploding so quickly. They basically drop like flies at this point. And yeah, this position from Sharp is going to be, I think, too hard to break. The high to low ground transition is just such a insurmountable obstacle here for Ample.
Yeah, look at the supply just plummet for Ample. And Sharp is still looking very good. Look, he's got 30 supply advantage now. Unbelievable. Ample getting a little frustrated maybe, trying to push across the map. 2 Cavaliers. Sharp just takes a fantastic engagement from the high ground and smashes that army. Now, Sharp has the ability to start surrounding Ample or just pushing directly through his position. There's not enough tanks here to completely stop him, and there's, of course, no +2 as of yet, so these are still very breakable positions.
Yeah, we see a lot of factories being thrown down for Ample, but I think it's a little bit too little too late. Sharp's already firing on all cylinders. Taking the center of the board is a very strong move in games like chess, and especially StarCraft on maps like this. These high to low ground transitions on the pizza slices are a very hard point of contention usually, but breaking through the center like this can spell disaster for your opponent if you execute it well. Seems like there's enough of an entrenched position for Ample to hold the line and protect his rally point, but it will mean it's very difficult for him to get a 4th base going at this mineral only, whereas Sharp has already got his.
Looks like he's gonna be able to get a couple of free shots off here. I thought that the Wraiths would be able to spot that, but it seems like not. Barracks getting close to going down here. Wraith is gonna take some damage. You really want to keep these Wraiths alive so that you can have some advanced warning about tanks coming forward and trying to shell your position. Giving that little bit of extra vision is insanely valuable, and Sharp going to continue to expand out here. He's got Ample on the back foot, and so he knows he can just throw down bases on location without fear of reprisal.
Yeah, science facility just now about to finish up for Sharp, so it will be a little bit time coming until he gets that +2 upgrade for his weapons, which is such a big threshold and a junction in this matchup. If the one player has +2 and the other one doesn't, you get 2 shot on your tanks instead of 3. But look at this, Ample coming with a little bit of run by, try to snipe some SCVs at the 3rd base. Sharp though on top of things, rotates around to defend against this. Only 4 or 5 SCVs going down to that. And look at another expansion from Sharp here in the top right pocket. He wants to just contain Ample and start to strangle him from coming too far out onto this map to keep taking bases while he rapidly expands himself.
Yeah, he's getting a very nice containment on Ample, surrounding him on all sides and mining up the areas that he hasn't had time to move tanks to yet. Ample looking at his options here. Is it time to start switching over to dropships, or are we going to be able to shove through any of these positions? He's still got quite a bit of time before Sharp has that +2. He's sitting here on +1, and he didn't start his science facility for quite some time, so he's got a little bit more time here, and he might even have a moment. He might have an opportunity right as the +2 kicks in to possibly overwhelm a position for Sharp.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the tech timings here for Ample. I haven't seen a science facility for him just yet. I think both players churning away on about 7 or so factories apiece. If Ample somehow got a science facility out early and has that +2 weapons finishing up soon, maybe he can make up the deficit here. He's trying to push up hard on this vertical axis, ramming it down right now, trying to seize this high ground terrain away from Sharp, opening up more lanes of expansion as well as paths of attack. That's a massive mine connection, taking 3 tanks down to low HP. Sharp desperately trying to cling on to this pizza slice and deny this valuable terrain to be seized by Ample, and so far has successfully pushed him back.
Yeah, he's shoving him back with, I think, a smaller army than what Ample brought forward there. Dropping down about 50 supply below where Sharp is at. Kind of incredible what Sharp's able to do with the same units as his opponent. Still able to get these amazing value trades. And so Ample is going to be shoved back. That was kind of his big move there, and barely took any space away from Sharp. Oh my gosh, and he's feeding in tanks as well. It's not looking good for Ample right now, Xun.
Oh, absolutely. 35 supply down. He's behind the economy curve as well. He's just now floating this CC to that 6 o'clock base. This is a nice run by from Ample, picking up some SCVs, forcing an evacuation here, but there's some mines or something blocking that 6 o'clock position, so he's not going to be able to take that base so swiftly. So even though he's harassing this expansion up here in the top right corner, I mean, he's already behind the scaling of this game. He runs the risk of falling out of the ebb and flow, and I don't think he has an upgrade advantage. I think his +2 will be finishing up around about the same time as Sharp's, maybe even a little bit slower.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he had that armory pretty early on. He needed it for the defense against those wraiths. It would be a shame if he didn't have a +2 timing here, if he missed that upgrade. But there's been so much chaos going on this game. Oh, there's the +2. It just finished.
Okay, I don't think Sharp has his just yet. I think he's slightly ahead of Sharp as a result. This is the time for Ample to make a play. Oh no, look at that. Sharp's is pretty much on the money. So he was even with the upgrade. So yeah, there's actually not any window really now for Ample to exploit. I'm really worried for him. I think Sharp is gonna just, do a death by 1,000 cuts to Ample now. He's going to completely cut off any path to these gas expansions on the right-hand side of the map, this third player location. And as a result, we'll slowly whittle him down in the battle of attrition, coming in a massive set of dropships as well onto this 9 o'clock spot. And just look how many Goliaths and tanks there are in this. I'm not even sure Ample's going to easily break this. He does have a lot of tanks responding. Oh, that's some great connections onto the tank line of Sharp. But I mean, it's not even evening out the supplies right now. Still 20 supply ahead is Sharp in this game. Ample, desperate to come out onto the map, has a massive train of vultures rotating around to this top right pocket to try and keep picking away at these SCV lines. Only 2 tanks set up here to defend, so they will fall.
Yeah, these tanks are going to end up going down, but there's a chance that, this mine ends up killing some of these vultures, and indeed it does. Only 2 vultures end up remaining to take any pot shots at the SCVs over at this base. Sharp took another base over here at the center left. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's a little bit of a wild
wild
base to try and hold here. It's so close to his opponent, and he just lost a lot through that drop. So maybe there's a chance Ample can at least shut down one of these bases.
I think Sharp has just been a little bit tactical here in saying, I want to mine as much of this gas out as possible so that in a split map situation, if Ample tries to take this base himself, there won't be that much gas banked up for him to do so. Because that's pretty much the only additional gas base that Ample could maybe reasonably take here, because he can kind of be aggressive, defend and attack at the same time by pushing up on this vertical axis and secure this pocket for himself. I think Sharp knew that and wanted to try and mine out that gas a little bit.
Wow, suddenly the supplies are pretty darn even here, Xun. That drop really hurt Sharp a lot. I mean, he ended up having about 5-6 tanks explode all in one shot there. Kind of stacked up on top, and I think I saw a mine connect at the beginning of the drop as well. So Apple's getting some good value trades now and making this into a bit of a game. He's going to be able to drop here with the one single Goliath, push back these forces. He's not able to take that base over there yet, but he has managed to grab 6 o'clock.
Ooh, those are some beautiful mine connections. Yeah, Ample fighting back pretty strong in this game. With a few of those mine connections, though, still training in supply by about 20, 24 or so. Ample just needs to break out of some of these lanes. Like, he's thinking about this vertical access because it would open up laying siege to this mineral only, as well as locking out Sharp from taking that top left pocket. Also could take that for himself. I think that's why Sharp wanted to set up there as soon as possible and start mining that out. But now it looks like Sharp rotating around on the southeast side of the map, which opens up this lane of attack for Ample, utilizing dropships to try and get this high ground on top of this siege tank line. There's only 3 tanks here that will fall in short order. Now more reinforcements can start to shove it down on this axis and reinforce this. He's got to pull maybe even a few SCVs to help defend while he's laying siege to the 6 o'clock base of Ample. Craziness on both sides of the map. I think this still works out a lot better for Sharp, though. Not trading so efficiently is our current blue Terran player, and that's a massive base for Sharp to execute at that 6 o'clock, whereas he's only putting this mineral only at risk.
Yeah, the mineral only looks like it will stand as well. while the 6 o'clock just went down. Oh my gosh, he lost the CC as well. Not even able to lift that up. And so Ample with 2,000 minerals in the bank, he can definitely make another CC, but he's not going to be able to get that base at 6 o'clock mining anytime soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of dropships available to Ample to keep attempting to come up with this high ground, but Sharp is just too smart. The positioning of those tanks are seriously stellar, able to shell those tanks as they pop out. He knows what Ample's game plan is, and he's just doing a great job of playing keep away from Ample. Whenever Ample's going for something, he's going to just swipe the chair out from under him yet again. And each time the kicks are becoming more ferocious, and every time Ample is trying to establish himself in this game, Sharp is just cutting him down to size.
He's been having a very hard time here so far. Ample might have one last hoorah in him. Maybe he can put together enough dropships to go to the main base. What do you think, Xun? Can he actually bring this one back at a, what is that, 70 supply advantage?
67, yeah, I don't think so, Sam. I think Sharp's gonna win this game. We might see a few good efforts, though, from Ample, re-establishing this 6 o'clock, trying to clean up some of these forces of Sharp. But Sharp, look at how many expansions are going down right now. Double expansion over at the 3 o'clock location to get those online, and now a massive assault onto the mineral-only location that Ample has to contend with, and he's got the low ground to worry about. Look at that massive line of Goliaths helping buffer as well. There's not much hope. He can't even really lift this CC to save it. Those Goliaths would absolutely annihilate it. There's not much hope here for Ample. Now just 86 supply, basically half the supply of Sharp right now. He is dying quickly in this game. GG is called, and Sharp straight through to that winner's match.
Wow, yeah. I don't like to call games too early, but that one was definitely over. Ample kind of sitting around and looking for some opportunities to maybe sneak a comeback, but it was a hard sell there for sure. Sharp was not giving him any space.
No. It was a valiant effort there from Ample, but Sharp's just too good, man. It's basically his specialty as well. He's by far more successful in that TVT matchup than any of his other matchups. And you kind of need to have really solid TVT to be a successful player in the scene. I think that's why a lot of Terran players struggle. They might be like a bit of a TVP specialist or really good at TVZ like JYJ, but if you can't hang against the mirror matchup of all these other top stellar Terran players, you will not go that far. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen Ample debut onto the stage too much in the past. He's done a great job in K-League. He's smashing that ladder, but offline, on stage against the absolute monsters of this ASL, they just don't quite make it, unfortunately, Sam.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, Larva versus Stork. Be right back, guys. All right, guys. We're ready. Larva versus Stork is the next match here. So far, our predictions have been spot on, Xun.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how this one's going to go, honestly. I don't know what kind of shape Larva is in.
I think he's in good enough shape. Stork, you know, in recent times, not been super hot in that versus Zerg matchup. So I do think we will be having an ample versus Stork in that losers match, which I'm actually really happy about. That'll be a really good PVT, and it will have a higher chance of Larva making it out of this group, which I really want to happen.
Yeah, I'd love to see Larva continue on. Definitely a fan favorite. He's a huge streamer in Korea, so he really brings out the crowds and has the personality to boot. Obviously, we won't know what he's saying here with our cast, but you guys can check out the Tasteos' cast. Comes out a couple of days or as many as 3 or 4 days after the live broadcast, and it has the translated version so you can see exactly what these guys are talking about. It's an amazing resource for us Brood War fans. Oh, look at this. He's got a blow dryer on stage. He's drying out his palms, man.
Yeah, you know, maybe he's just feeling a little bit sweaty, wants to make sure that, you know, he can perform to the best of his ability. He doesn't want any slip and slide when he's playing. I've seen guys even dry out their mouse pads as well. So, yeah, at the highest levels of play, every tiny percentile makes the difference. And if your hands are just a little bit drier than they could have been, maybe that'll help make the difference and make sure you don't misclick on something. So yeah, everything's a factor. You know, we obviously used to have heat packs during the winter for these guys in the Pro League as well. So a dryer in the summer, I don't think is too crazy.
Yeah, I remember players putting towels over top of their mouse,
Right.
and that used to be a thing where they would have the towel over the mouse to keep their hand dry throughout the game. But I guess you know, drying out pre-game might be helpful as well. I could see some problems. I actually tried with the because I get very sweaty palms as well when I play. I tried with the towel. It just totally gets in the way. I don't know how they pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just got to get used to it. I don't know, but I'm hoping, you know, I wouldn't mind if Stork makes it through this group today. I mean, we haven't seen that deep of runs from him in the ASL. Like, he's kind of the guy to, you know, break through occasionally to the round of 16 and what have you, but he's just not been able to perform that successfully in recent times. I believe he was one of the guys that fell in the group stages in ASL season 19 as well. We could be seeing a repeat of that in this season as well. I think he's a very strong player. His PVT is amazing, but compared to these absolute tyrant players, I just don't think he's quite up to snuff.
We'll see how deep he can go, how much practice he's been putting in lately. We're about to get into this one, guys. Get excited. Larva versus Stork is coming right up.
Both players already, guys. ASL Season 20, Group A, Larva versus Stork. Let's get it started, guys. This is going to be sick. And the map, Dominator.
We get the cheers from the crowd. Larva over in that top right hand, or that middle right, and Stork down here in the bottom left. Oh, I'm so excited, Xun. This is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to see how Larva's performing in this season.
Now, historically speaking, this is a very strong map for Zerg. Oh, that might play into this a lot. We sometimes would see even center gates as a result of just not really being confident at dealing with that like 4-base monster Zerg, just smashing it down and stopping you from being able to take expansions here. And we'll see how this plays out. Looks like Stork doesn't want to do anything too crazy or cheesy here. He wants to just play a normal standard game. And that might be exactly what he needs to do as well against Larva. I don't think center gates for Stork would be the play here. There's these little doodads in the center, which also kind of block your pylon and choke up that area to make it harder for the Zerglings to get good surrounds on the Zealots if you're playing defensively in the middle as well. So yeah, there's a few good reasons why you would want to go for center gates here, but we're not going to see that.
Yeah, the first time I saw somebody pull that off, I mean, my mind was kind of blown. The way that the doodads there in the center kind of surround the pylon and just allow such an easy defense. You could leave like 1 or 2 zealots there, and you could defend against an incredible number of lings. Basically, can take 1-on-1 trades or 2-on-1 trades against those lings and keep that pylon alive for an inordinate amount of time. Looks like Larva might end up getting blocked here. Gonna hide that drone. He is doing an overpull, so keeping that out of sight here for a moment will allow him to get this hatchery down. Well played, and Stork gets in there. He sees the bad news. Unable to block that hatchery.
I think that was a mistake from Stork, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't that probe see the Overlord from that high ground spot? So if you see the Overlord at that point, you know it's not a 9-pull. Like, usually you're only going into the main base to check for a 9-pull or something. So if you do see the Overlord there in that position, you can just chill in the natural expansion, knowing that they will be trying to take that. So I think that's a little bit of a misplay from Stork if he actually did see the Overlord like I think he did.
I think you're right. I think he did see that Overlord, but he gets in there and gets the confirmation, just allowing Larva to get started with no harassment is definitely a mistake. You want to do absolutely everything you can to try and slow this man down.
Oh yeah, and we've got quick third hatchery being planted on location for Larva here. No surprise at all. And these 4 Zerglings are just to be safe against the potential gateway first. You can see there was no drone scout here from Larva. There was a player called Zealot, as in the Z-E-L-O-T, basically would always open forward lings without probe scouting every single time against Protoss, and it now seems that in recent times all the Zergs have adopted that way of thinking, because even though you're producing an extra pair of Zerglings, you're kind of already compensated for that by not having to drone scout, so you've got that extra 50 minerals a minute income anyway to pay for that, and also you've got a higher chance of killing this probe scout, and if there was kind of an early Zealot timing pressure play, you've got those 4 lings ready and waiting.
Everything going to plan here so far. This could just be a regular ladder game. We've all seen these 2 builds match up against each other over and over again. But as this play comes in, as the both builds develop here, we're going to see who wants to start to diverge and try to pull one over. You don't want to just play completely predictable, especially not in a best of 1 when everything's on the line here in day 1 of the round of 24.
Right, and that probe took a while to go down, so Stork can be pretty confident that this isn't going to be a Hydra Den play for a 973. You'd much rather that Den be planted around 3 minutes 30, so the fact that that probe was still alive for a long time means that Larva was unlikely to risk trying to throw that down. Just because Stork... Oh, that beautiful surround on the bottom. Zealot as well. Really nicely done. Only losing 1 single Zergling to that. And there's also another couple of batches worth of Zerglings to try and intercept this follow-up probe scout. Everything is just so clean for Larva right now. The stars are aligning for him. Stork is in trouble. If you haven't got vision as Protoss, you do not feel comfortable at all. You can't min-max your timings to deal with the Zerg at all. You're just hedging your bets and hoping for the best.
Every lost Zealot here is very painful. Any sort of follow-up attack that Stork has planned is going to be worse as a result of those early units going down, that early Zealot, and losing the probe. He'll have to play a little bit more defensively unless he wants to take a big risk and just not add on the defenses that are necessary here early on. He's actually going to kill the Overlord at the natural first, which is a little bit surprising here, since he doesn't have the information. Like, getting rid of that Overlord is pretty good. If there was some sort of attack coming, he could make a DT, and getting rid of that Overlord would actually defend pretty easily.
Well, this is a bit of a mind game from Larva. Like, usually a Zerg only parks their Overlord there if it's going to be a Hydra bust. So he was kind of like selling Stork a red herring, like, I want to Hydra bust you here. So he was kind of hoping that Stork would read into that and throw down additional cannons and worry about that potential play. But instead, he's kind of lining himself up nicely here. He's got a cannon in the main base as well in case there's an early Ogre Zerg game and maneuver from Larva in this game. He has got an early second gas, 3 patch spire into 5 hatcheries worth of production. With an early second gas, he could, if he wanted, make a lot of Mutalisks and Scourge to put the pressure on. So having that safety cannon in the main might come in clutch.
The Scourge coming across the map here, he'll get the full scout. All the information he needs in Stork space. He sees the number of Corsairs here. Doesn't even lose a Scourge either. Very nice scout from Larva. And he might not be aware of the Zealots moving across the map, but he's got sunken colonies already prepared. Okay, that sunken colony is just about done. Where are the units here? Oh, the Lings are on the other side of the map. He completely missed this move. And so he's going to have to pull drones here. He gets on top of the Zealots. Pretty good drone drill so far. Loses 1 drone. Second drone does go down. And these Zealots are going to be able to slip by. He's going to try and delay this as much as possible. Let the sunken colony do its work. But 2 more drones are going to fall. This is pretty good for Stork already.
Yeah, this has worked out pretty nicely for him. These Lings being out of position is definitely disastrous. And now the Zealots might get some damage in the main as well. Those Mutalisks don't do a lot of DPS, so he might just barely kill another drone. It does get drilled, so not actually sucks on that. But look at this! Another 2 Zealots hit squad making its way into that 3rd base location. Does do a pretty good drill on one of them, but maybe losing 2 drones here. Yeah, he does lose 2 drones. That's a pretty big deal.
Wow, losing 2 drones at either location. And maybe another one. A 3rd drone goes down here at the natural. And a 4th. Uh-oh. Things are getting a little bit out of control here for Larva. His early game micro was looking a lot better than this. And now he is in a bit of trouble here. Can he do something drastic and try to dive into the main? Or is he just going to recoup those drones and look to the late game?
Yeah, something about this tells me that he might poke in here, but I don't think so. Oh, that's actually a big mistake there from Larva. Those 2 Mutalisks weren't meant to actually fly into the main like that. They were probably on a rally point or something, and he actually lost one of them on the exit. Very suboptimal for him now. He will shark around and try to catch some of these Corsairs as they're flying around the map and try and get some connections with those Scourge. Maybe put on some pressure onto the mineral line, but now that he's lost one of those mutas and Stalker's got such a healthy count of Corsairs there with +1 finished up for those neutron flares to really do the work they need to. Also, an Archon has been produced and is making its way out onto the map right now. Ooh, gets 1 sonic shockwave connection as well, softening up and bruising that pack of mutas. There's not a lot here as well, just 6 Mutalisks in that, so he can't really do anything with this fleet of forces for the time being.
This is a dangerous point for Larva right as the transition is happening here with those Hydralisks. If the Scourge do not get good connections, he could be in a lot of trouble. Really does need to get those Scourge to connect because the Corsairs are now starting this engagement. Muta's coming in. Archon here going to fall back. Doesn't want to get caught on that high ground with the sunken colony attacking, especially if he targets the Archon that can go down pretty quickly. Muta here looking for a little bit of damage, but the Archon going to start to work on those Scourge. More Zealot rallies making their way forward, and Larva going to turn around and start to move back. He's supply blocked at the moment, and connects with the Scourge, but we didn't see exactly how many Corsairs went down there. All the Scourge are gone, though. Oh, big connections there. Larva bringing some additional Scourge in, gets the connections that he was looking for. Is it enough, though, to halt this attack? It seems like Stork going to turn around and look towards that 3rd base.
Yeah, a lot of those Corsairs are bruised despite not falling. So even though there's still 7 of them, wants to be a little bit hesitant in moving out anymore. Just being positional right now, scouting around the map, checking for any greedy 4th bases from Larva. Realizes that there's a lot of production of these 3 bases, so wants to be as careful as possible. Needs to target fire these Scourge down. Does lose a lot of Corsairs, only 3 remaining. Great Scourge connections there, finally, from Larva, making up the difference from earlier. Now with a pack of 11 mutas, there's only Storm and an Archon that will be available to Stork to stop critical damage being done by this. Those 3 Corsairs not going to be pulling their weight against this strong of a muta flock, sharking around the map. Going to put a lot of damage onto these Zealots with their mutaglaves as well. Little bit of a trouble spot now for Stork to worry about. He's got this 3rd base finished, but these High Templars are under so much threat from these mutas.
Yeah, he can't move out with the High Templar right now, and that opens up a potential for Hydras to break that 3rd. Mutas flying overhead here. Some Corsairs moving out. Is he ready to take this engagement now? With the Archon there, it's a little bit scary. Another wave of Hydras making its way to the front. Larva's put together a pretty beastly supply. Going after the High Templar here. Does pick off a couple of those. Still High Templar in the back line. Okay, he only got 1 High Templar there. I thought he got 2. Big storm in the midst of all these Hydras, and the mutas are really going to start going down now that the Corsairs are doing their job.
Yeah, but a massive flood of Hydras coming in to reinforce. Stork has to evacuate. He needs the high ground to defend at the bare minimum. I think there's a High Templar. Yeah, there is a High Templar here at the 3rd base. That will be the savior here for Stork as he puts those Hydras back into retreat. There's also a Dark Templar as well. No Overlord to spot that, so he has put a timer on that attack. Basically, Larva has to abandon it for the time being. He kind of cut on his production of his tech options a little bit here, so he didn't actually get the Overlord speed upgrade for some time. I could see Larva talking to himself a little bit. I wonder if he just realized that he forgot to get the Overlord speed upgrade, because sometimes you cut it for a while and you get it a little bit later on, but he might have cut it and then forgot to get it later.
I really like this from Larva, building another round of mutas right after that first one died. Stork may not be continuing to produce Corsairs here. He might think that the mutalist threat is gone, and then suddenly the mutas arrive again with a bunch of snipes on these High Templar. The mutas are the Hydras are going to do that much better. 1 snipe is all he can get. The preemptive storm there was pretty good. This DT, oh, can it just barely escape? 5-kill DT does manage to run on out.
Yeah, it's gone 13 minutes and we still don't see that Overlord speed. I really do feel like Larva forgot to get that after initially cutting that out of his tech tree. There's just so many forces that will be available to Larva, these 4 base worth of production. That's why Protoss players have such a hard time on this map. Zerg players are easily getting up to 4th bases and they can just ram it down. And you kind of have to go out onto the map to get your own 4th base as Protoss here, and that's exactly what Zergs want to trade well, especially from the high to low ground transition. So Stork might have a bit of a hard time keeping up with Larva. Larva being aggressive and also taking the 6 o'clock base as a 5th while rotating around with all of his forces pretty much to maybe get a tactical challenge on this 9 o'clock spot. He needs to be careful about that. If he gets his Hydras boxed in on that little pocket in the top left, that could be disastrous for him as well, as long as Stork is on top of his army movements. Coming into natural expansion with those mutas, threatening the probe line. 1 preemptive storm, not quite cutting it, and he's killing so many probes in transit.
Yeah, this is great for Larva, just going in and completely ransacking the mineral lines. Stork was doing a fantastic job of just making sure that his High Templar were safe there, but his mineral lines are absolutely not. Killing off so many probes now, Stork. I mean, he's got a great army here, but Larva is going to start to really accelerate ahead with all those kills.
Yeah, and it looks like it is a more Battle Zerg-centric force here from Larva. No Queen's Nest on the way just yet. Wants to rely predominantly on that Hydra Muta tech to do the heavy lifting, and it's paying off so well for him, at least for the time being. Stork feeling like he has to produce Corsairs to help protect his High Templars, and the amount of preemptive storms that Larva's baiting out, it's insane. It's like forcing stims against Terran and draining the energy reserves, but even better than that. And the amount of indirect and direct damage Larva has done Stork is almost not sustainable at all here. He's actually eclipsing him in supply. The position for Stork is becoming more and more untenable as the seconds tick by. That 6 o'clock hatchery's just now finished as well. Larva is going to be firing on all cylinders soon, and Stork has yet to take a 4th base.
Stork's not mining on his main, and he hasn't been mining here in the main for quite a long time, so he's been sitting on 2 bases, whereas Larva cranking out an insane number of hydras. Look at that supply right now. He's almost going to max out here soon. There are a lot of High Templar here, and there's no lurkers just yet, but this just only Hydralisk army he has numbers on his side. He can absolutely overwhelm this with just a few nice dodges and possibly a couple of snipes with these mutas as well. There's only 2 High Templar in there. 2 in this army. Where are all the other High Templar for Stork?
I'm not so sure. We have got pretty traditional upgrades for both sides, though. 2 armor, 1 attack upgrades for Stork, plus 2 weapons upgrades for Larva. Swooping into that 3rd, picking off another High Templar. Mutas are dangerously low on HP, though, so we can't keep this up forever. There are a few cannons here to buffer and help out the Zealots hold the line on that ramp. So Larva will have to tuck tail and tactically withdraw back to the center pizza slices. Looks like Stork has enough forces to hold the line against him here, and while also setting up his mineral only at long last. Still on that lair tech is Larva, so if Stork can somehow hold their line and build up a strong enough army to start skirmishing with Larva and maybe take out this base at 6 o'clock, Stork has a fighting chance here, but he needs to be careful. He's losing so many High Templars. He's got like 1 or 2 High Templars on the map, and that one that just falls as well. This is crazy. Larva's going to start laying siege to this mineral only and kill it before it can even get off the ground. Forces a cancel. There is not enough splash damage for Stork, Sam.
Yeah, Stork is getting pretty outdone here. He was looking decent with the early drone kills, able to split Zealots into multiple bases and kind of bait Larva around. Was able to sneak out with a few Zealots and kind of surprise him as well, but now he's being forced to run into lurker lines, and there are so many Hydras here. He is getting ready to completely surround and just annihilate this army. Stork is stuck just sitting on his high ground pizza slice. He can't move. Yeah. If he moves, he's going to die.
He's hoping that Larva overextends and tries to ram it down onto that high ground pizza slice rally point location. But as long as Larva has composure and plays keep away from this Protoss force and just denies the mineral only and not much else, there's not much Stork can do to come back in this game. Larva is churning away resources from that 6 o'clock base. This is 5 base Zergs, only 2 base Protoss right now. As long as Larva is intelligent about how he engages Stork, it's going to be so difficult for Stork to do the heavy lifting required. Look at the flood of Hydras being brought to bear, running forward, dodging through the storms, now targeting down those precious Dragoons and High Templars. That's all of the firepower eviscerated from Stork's standing army. Larva looks so strong right now.
Wow, that was so many Hydras all running forward in amongst the Protoss army, and the reinforcement waves are not going to stop coming here. Stork needs this 4th base desperately, and Larva is still giving him a run for his money, just trying to hold that location.
Yeah, we do seem to have a sizable enough force from Stork to hold on to that mineral only for the time being, and who knows, maybe this game can slowly turn around. It was lair tech only for Larva for so long, so maybe if Stork can hold the line, keep skirmishing with Larva, get this mineral base mining, and eventually lay siege to this 6 o'clock position, Stork could turn this game around. It's going to be a long time coming, but he's starting to put the puzzle pieces together to start to figure out that picture. Will Larva make some blunders that allow that comeback mechanic to come to fruition as well? He's currently 20 supply ahead of Stork, and he's just running forward and gunning down these High Templars left and right. Needs to be careful not to bleed off too many of his Hydras. One of the things we see at the highest levels of StarCraft is the ability not to bleed too many units, but it seems like Larva has his hive now and another base being established here in the top right.
Yeah, I expect nothing less. Larva has that hive ready. He's going into the late game. His base over here at the top right is under threat, but he's on top of it. maybe going to be able to get the snipe on that. Stork trying to kill that hatchery. A lot of Hydras were sent over to that top right. Maybe a bit of an over response there from Larva to send so many units over to that location just to defend against those 5-6 Zealots. He is bringing forward a lot of Hydras right now to surround this army, but it looks like Stork will hold the position for now. Yeah, see how many Hydras he brought here just to stop that Zealot counterattack. If he had those Hydras at the front, imagine what he could have done to all these Dragoons as they were trying to push.
He was just worried about the DPS of those Zealots chewing through that hatchery HP a little bit too quickly, and Stork did get it down to about half with that, so hard to say for sure how many units you should allocate. Very often in StarCraft, you'll see players overcommit to defending just to be sure about it, but that also means that they can be manipulated and outmaneuvered by the opponent by forcing resources to be allocated in suboptimal locations. Wrapping around now is Larva, looking for more High Templar snipes. Luckily, Stork's being fluid enough with his army moves to prevent that becoming too much of a threat, and there's no Overlord at this base in the top right, so that DT might actually kill that hatchery just barely. That's going to be crazy. There's an Overlord coming from the left-hand side, but it might not be in time.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be in time, Xun. This is the comeback mechanic we see so often for Protoss. Manages to get 4 kills there, and the hatchery, that is going to keep Stork in this game for now.
I mean, this is crazy. Like, we might actually have a game on our hands. I think Larva's still winning, and it's still only 2 base Protoss now, the natural mined out. So just this 9 o'clock base and mineral only for Stork. With some good storms, though, anything can happen. If he holds the high ground well and Larva makes a few botched efforts of flanking in here, but he is setting for a massive pincer maneuver from 3 flanks, trying to box in the army of Stork. This looks like it's too much to handle for Stork. 30 supply behind. I don't know, man. I think this is definitely going to be Larva's victory, regardless of losing that hatchery in the top right. I think that base mining away for so long at 6 o'clock has spelled disaster for him. Larva will be mined out quite quickly on his main natural, and third is already mined out as well, so he won't have too many bases available to him, but Stork will be also drying up soon.
Yeah, Stork is definitely starting to dry up here. We also have to remember that Stork pulled a lot of his workers over to that natural, so the natural dried out exceedingly fast. He's on 2 bases, and that third is going to be running out here soon, targeting down the Archons. I think there's nothing left in the tank here for Stork.
Yeah, and we see the third base for Larva was mined out quicker than his main and natural. That's because he oversaturated it to try and get as optimal mineral smoothing as possible. So he essentially is only mining on 3 bases right now. This base in the top right, his mineral only, and 6 o'clock. But he took that 6 o'clock so early that as the minutes tick by, eventually he will dry up. So he kind of needs to keep expanding and keeping Stork locked on these 4 bases to make sure that his winning percentage is maintained. Stork knows that. That's why he's being hyper aggressive with this base in the top right, denying mining up there, as well as defending this mineral only base critically. He could eventually turn this game around, but it's going to be a long time in the making. Larva's just doing too good of a job of coming in here and skirmishing, picking off the Dragoons and High Templar units, now threatening this Nexus as well. There's some High Templars making their way over, trying to desperately save this building, but he's not successful. There's not enough energy to storm. He will lose all of those High Templars and the probes and maybe even the Nexus.
Yeah, he's not going to let this go. Now that he's got his teeth into the meat, he's sunk his teeth in, he's going to rip some flesh away, and Stork is running out of arms. He's got no more limbs to tear off. Larva is just beating him down here and taking out all the remaining Templar. The last of the Dragoons just standing here on the high ground. But he's back on his own pizza slice, and he needs a 5th base, not to mention this 4th going down.
Yeah, Stork has killed this base in the top right. That's great heavy lifting from him, but he's 40 supply below Larva, and with that 6 o'clock base still online for the time being, Larva has enough blood in him to keep surging forward with this production. He needs 1 more base set up, though. The mineral only will be mined out in a few minutes' time. The 6 o'clock will last a little bit longer than that, but I mean, Larva could find himself in a position where he starts drying up. If Stork takes this base in the top left pocket here, while also managing to stop Larva from expanding up here in the top right. There is a win condition for Larva to find, but it will take like 10 or so minutes to come to fruition.
It's wild that Larva wasn't able to keep that base in top right alive. Just an Overlord and maybe 1 or 2 lurkers over there, and he would have had that extra base mining this entire time. Never would have been killed. But he really skimped on defenses at that location. He's got so much vision in the middle of the map. I think that Stork's been a little bit lucky, kind of slipping by the defenses and getting over to that top right without being spotted until the last second. And so, you know, he's just been killing that base over and over again. Finally, 1 lurker up there. That's actually going to shut down a lot of this Zealot play.
Yeah, this is great from Larva. He's also got 2 Hydras that have been killing a couple of probes that keep trying to expand over to his top left pocket expansions. That's really slowed down Stork a lot. And without this mineral only to mine from, he's struggling right now. He's long distance mining from that. Those probes are actually going to start dying because they're completely exposed. This is just insult to injury. He's wrapping around naturally this army of Larva. Needs to be careful with his high Templars. If he loses any more of those for free, he can't afford to reproduce them. And Larva's going to start to just tighten the noose around him slowly but surely. This standing army of Stork looks a little bit scary, but there's not much beyond that. This is 74 supply to 126, and only 1 base worth of mining available to the Protoss. Eventually, Larva's going to really start to outscale him, trying to leverage that advantage now, borrowing the lurkers right in the face of those Dragoons. Kills so many of them with those subterranean spine volleys, and now threatening a cancel on this mineral only again to dash any hopes of Stork coming back in this game.
Absolutely sick move there with Larva surrounding the army and cleaning it up here once and for all. Took a lot of damage from that storm, but I don't think it's going to matter. The Nexus is gone, and Stork is just about done. There it is, GG. Pretty late GG timing there overall, but Stork really wanted to battle it out since he'd been able to keep that base in the top right down for so long.
Oh, we see a lot of people fight for their life in ASL. That's one of the things that makes it special, Saiyan. They just care more about these games than usual. That's why you'll rarely see players tap out early. Unlike those online events, you see a lot more one-sided matches and series overall. But here, they almost play like they're going to be eliminated both in real life and the game if they were to lose. They take these games a lot more seriously, play with so much tenacity, but that will mean that we're having Larva facing off against Sharp in the winner's match, and Stork, like we were hoping, gonna have a chance to showcase his PvT prowess against Ample in that loser's match.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next match. This is what we expected, Xun. Sharp versus Larva is going to be an absolute banger. Not sure who's going to come out ahead on that. Larva did have a little bit of waste there, especially in that early game when he lost those extra drones. You can't make those mistakes against Sharp, or he will just run you over.
Yeah. I mean, just to point out, guys, Larva is an ASL champion. He has the ability to win one of these things. All the way back in season 11, he took out Mini in the finals. This was 2021, 4-3. He can win ASLs, and he's came like top 4 quite a few times as well. I think he got smashed by Flash when Flash was playing random. That was in the ASL before that, so that was ASL 10. Flash beat him 3-0 playing random. And honestly, those were some of the most interesting matches ever. Flash just had a soul read on Larva and did so much preparation and had like almost unstoppable build orders, considering like the semi-island nature. Was it Plasma they were playing on? And like the drone rush that Flash did to sunken rush the fast expansion of Larva is pretty much an unstoppable build unless you know their Zerg early on. That was a really fun series to watch. Yeah, but Larva, definitely a contender to take the whole thing.
Yeah, that is, I think, the reason why Flash is not here in this season of the ASL, not able to get the practice that he feels is necessary, that will allow him to perform at the very highest level. He's a bit sore in the wrist. He's just recently had a big surgery. That's something that Larva's been dealing with as well. He took a long hiatus to kind of recover from those wrist problems. And that's kind of where Flash is at as well. He's taking that hiatus. He's resting his wrist because he knows that if he tries to get into the ASL, he's going to end up burning himself out and probably damaging his wrists again.
Yeah, and Sharp, who he's facing off against, he's a really strong contender as well. He has made it to the second place location in these events. Yeah, I think it was not the last ASL, but the one before that, he was in the finals against Sulky. So Sharp also is one of those guys that can go all the way. He's had a bit of distraction like Larva in the way of, having a family, wife and kids take up a lot of your time, and as it should as well. You should be there for your family and support them fully. And also having some health issues along the way. I think a lot of players are finding that it seems to be like when you hit like the 30 mark, your wrists start to fall off, or cancers start to creep up on you, or other kind of health concerns can really start to take their hold. It seems though most of these guys have been pretty lucky at recovering from any of those threats for the time being, at least. So I'm hoping we'll see more from them for many years to come.
It's awesome to see Larva making a comeback here in ASL 20. I've been rooting for him for such a long time and hoping that he was going to come back, and he's looking to be in pretty decent form. Bringing out the hairdryer as well, definitely putting a lot of preparation into this ASL.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's done that before. I'm pretty sure back in the day he's brought a hairdryer to matches as well. I don't think this is the first time he's done something like that. It does seem a little bit silly to maybe some of you guys that aren't quite as initiated into how seriously these guys take StarCraft, but it really is one of those games where these like little tiny niche percentages play such a role. And if you watch any kind of like professional sports, you know that at the highest level of play, it's those razor thin margins that separate the best players from the just average professionals.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Flash pull out the ruler and measure his desk to make sure that the side of the keyboard was exactly the right distance from the edge of the desk. I thought it was funny. I thought it was silly, but it just goes to show how crazy these guys, how unbelievably serious they are about taking these games.
He wasn't aligning himself to the desk. He was aligning the universe to his desk that day, okay? Making sure that everything was as it should be for him to perform. Back in the day, Flash was essentially God. And I mean, well, he's well revered for good reason. A lot of these players have such high respect for one another, and they know how hard it is to do what they do in this game. Like, no one is as good at anything in the world as these guys are at playing StarCraft. You can show me any kind of, rocket scientist, brain surgeon, whatever. Like, they are not as good at their professions as some of these guys are at playing this game. The amount of brain capacity and practice, talent, luck that needs to be on your side to be as successful as they've been in the past is just unparalleled in pretty much any profession anywhere in this planet, Sam.
Well, this is exciting, Xun. Look, we're going through a bit of a sponsored segment here with the Korean casters, and we've got Razer as a sponsor now, and Google. I mean,
ooh,
things are looking up for StarCraft in Korea, man. Seems like a lot of heavy hitter sponsors are coming in and actually looking at the sport and thinking, you know what, this is worth supporting, and there's a lot of people who are interested in this. That's fantastic to see.
Right.
Brood War never dies, guys, and it's awesome to have better and better sponsors here showing up and giving their support to this awesome tournament.
I'm not sure exactly what mouse that is. It looks like a modern Death Adder to me. I mean, back in the day, all my friends and myself were all using like Death Adders for FPS games. They were essentially the best FPS mice out on the market. I'm not so sure about today. I think there's also better mice you can get for StarCraft, something like a G Pro X Super Light, really good for StarCraft. But if you are FPS gamers, Razer do have a lot of good mice, especially that Death Adder series. So check it out.
Yeah, I had a Death Adder back in the day as well. All right, guys, we're heading to a commercial break here. We're going to go off for a few minutes. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, it is time, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, Larva versus Sharp is about to begin. I'm so curious who's going to be taking this one down. Does Larva have something special prepared here? I imagine that Sharp should be favored, but we'll have to see. This is a best of one.
Right.
That's always a scary prospect as a pro gamer. Just one game to try and show your stuff here.
Yeah, pretty much anyone can be anyone in that best of one format. ASL is just so brutal, guys, and looks like we are going to be getting that Screaming Sea map. It's called Roaring Currents on the screen, but basically there's 3 translations for this map, so we were going to be relegating ourselves to calling it Screaming Sea. We'll see how that sits with us. We might be changing that up as we progress. But look at how crazy this map is, though, guys. Like 4 island maps and a massive long rush distance. So a lot of players might be, a little bit hesitant to throw down early defenses. So even though you are being aggressive, that might still pay off because the other player's not quite expecting you to be hyper aggressive in this matchup. But these island matchups just make it so hard for Zerg players in general. They kind of have to play aggressive, get that overlord drop early on, and try and ramp up quickly in this matchup and stay winning the entire game, or things can just fall apart. Terran can get such easy expansions. There's no minerals blocking as well. You can literally just float to command center, Zan.
Yeah, this is an insane map, guys. I've been playing a lot of this on ladder, and I can attest to just the wildness that can occur here. There's some really weird stuff. Like, a lot of these gas geysers are very low as well. I believe the gas geyser at the 3rd base location is like 3,000 or 3,500. And the one over on the high ground, the 4th base location, that's very low as well, around 3,000. Some of the islands have weird amounts of gas and minerals too. So there's so much that goes into this one. It's going to be very hard to eke out all the nuances here between these two, but anything can happen. Absolutely anything. We could see, 2-port Wraith. We could see, super early drops come out here for either player. Larva could go for drops. We could see Crazy Zerg with that high ground advantage at the natural. You can set up a bunch of Sunkens there and just start taking bases with drops. There's so much that can happen here. I'm really excited to get into this one.
No, absolutely, saying it seems like both players are ready, so we might be getting jumped right into the action. ASL Season 20 Group A winners match, Larva versus Sharp, and the map Screaming Sea. Let's get it started.
All right, Sharp over in the top right-hand corner, Larva on screen there, bottom left. Gonna be switching over to blue and red. The red Zerg, blue Terran. That's perfect. Want to be able to see those plagues if we end up getting that far. But early game, this map is crazy. Like you were saying, it's such a long rush distance here. We see a lot of players go for extremely greedy builds, try to get out as much early econ as possible. We could see CC first here. We could see, triple hatch before spawning pool from Larva. There's so much room to try and eke out those builds, and that means that there's potential for something like a proxy play, although neither player sending out early workers, especially Sharp. I mean, he could go out, try to put down a Rax way out on the other side of the map, but he's not moving towards doing that. And Larva here is probably just going to go for a 12 hatch.
Yeah, both players will be hesitant to be super aggressive. Like something like a 5 pool might fall flat on its face, and 8 racks could also just not be potent enough to do the usual prerequisite damage to make up the deficit. And you would have to build that 8 racks so far out onto the map that you're basically fully committed at that point. You have to take a gas behind it, get a factory, and that's just not the kind of tactile style that probably Sharp wants to elect to do. So yeah, I think we're going to be seeing very traditional builders. Oh, hang on, Sharp is getting a gas, Saiyan.
Yeah, it's pretty popular here on this map. You want to get that early Wraith out so you can control these islands, and start to pick off overlords. The 1-1-1 build, very powerful on this map. 12 hatch here for Larva with a pretty quick gas. So he's setting himself up for a 2-base or a 2-hatch potential Mutilus style.
Yeah, definitely going to be optimizing that lair timing with that kind of pool and gas sequencing. I'll have to see exactly how he wants to play this, if this is going to be some kind of Mutalisk all-in play or not. Pretty fast factory there from Sharp. You saw that start around about 2 minutes 24. It always is about 5 seconds or so quicker if you go for 11 gas rather than 12. And Sharp is very common to take an 11 gas instead of that traditional 12 gas timing, liking a slightly faster vulture. But with these rush distances, probably won't be doing too much damage with that vulture. Instead, like you say, looking for a more teched out play, maybe trying to get a fast Wraith here. If he does just want to go straight into Spire and Mutalisks, he might skip over that Hydra Den and not have such an adequate defense against that Wraith harassing him to death.
Yeah, I'm kind of tilting my head here. He's mining 2 on gas. If there's 3 on gas, you're probably going to get something like a double starport. Maybe this is just a single starport with a faster CC.
1-1-1. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a 1-1-1 into CC. Exactly that.
It's kind of how it's looking here. Looks like he's going to throw down that CC soon. Vulture going to be helping him to defend against Larva. Early Lings coming across the map potentially. And there looks to be a sunken colony getting started here on that high ground. So with the sunken up here on the high ground, impossible to actually run by. I think you can't do it, even if there's nothing blocking. Usually you could potentially run by just taking 2 shots, but
yeah,
with the way that this natural is shaped, I don't think you can do it without taking at least 3 hits.
No, especially with the sunken placed in the center to the front like that, there's no way you can like kind of shimmy off to the side and just barely stay alive before it can get the final tentacle connection. So yeah, I think you're right. I think there's no way of really slipping by here. This vulture is basically going to be purely for map control, scouting, denying any zergling pressure. One thing you have to be scared about with 1-1-1 plays is that you are super flimsy in terms of not having many units early on. So you do want to have something to slow down any kind of early aggression. There could be a bit of zergling pressure into a mass Hydra bust. Like, he could just make a ton of Hydras on 2 bases and try and ram it down. Sharp has to be aware of that, scout it and intercept, and try and slow it down as long as possible for a bunker to finish so he can repair that. It does seem like that Wraith is going to find this Overlord here, going to be quickly annihilating that with the Gemini missiles. And, I mean, this was a quick science facility follow-up from Sharp, by the way, so a bit of a crazy Terran style.
Wow, this is a really quick science facility as well. So he's going to get one of the fastest vessels you can get. Oh, the Vulture. Wait a second. What? Sharp, uncharacteristic move there. Almost loses the Vulture. No reaction for him for a long time. And a lot of free damage goes down on that. That is a really important Vulture. You got to keep that alive for map control.
Yeah,
was doing something else, I suppose. And yeah, I was just saying, trying to get this super fast irradiate out, he's gonna have to rely majority on turrets here for the defense against this initial Mutilus play. But the Scourge get the connection. Oh man, a lot is going wrong here for Sharp so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit uncharacteristic. I mean, he did kill 3 Overlords. That's a pretty big deal. So that's not bad at all. But losing the Wraith after the fact, not so great. We've just talked a little bit about how 1-1-1 is very flimsy. You don't have that many units to utilize. You can see now Sharp in a small bit of panic throwing down a lot of turrets. He knows that without that Wraith as well to help kind of buffer and take pot shots at those Mutalisks harassing, he needs to be super safe against this follow-up harassment. It is going to be a quick Evo chamber play from Larva. Maybe Sharp was anticipating a crazy Zerg kind of play, saying, and that's why he's got this insanely fast science vessel, just in case he scans and identifies this is going to be a crazy Zerg play, so he can get a lot of vessels out early on. And at the very least, he could utilize vessels in helping out against these Mutalisks, and it does put them on a bit of a clock where Larva won't be able to get a lot done with his harassment as a result.
Well, this also gives him a pretty good timing for his upgrades, right? He's not going to be delayed at all. with that +2 attack. Only 2 mutas made so far. Larva's playing a really funny game here. I mean, the irradiate, it almost feels not worth it to even throw down an irradiate on these mutas. Kind of a waste of energy if he wants to do that here. Queen's Nest, Hydra Den on the way, so not a crazy Zerg style, but definitely a really fast armor angling towards that Ultralisk play, but just not going there directly. Seems like he wants to get some lurkers out here to keep himself safe in the meantime.
Right, yeah. Well, he hasn't made that many Mutalisks, so maybe he's identified that going mutas into Crazy Zerg isn't the play. Maybe he's just going to make a bare minimal amount of mutas to help him get bombs onto those science vessels so these Scourge can eliminate them, and instead wants to do lurkers into Ultralisks, which is actually a very viable play. Sometimes you'll even see newer players to the game not so good at their Mutalisk control, so they can instead just make lurkers and then go straight into Ultralisks from that. And you can see a bare minimal amount of Mutalisks have been made. I think literally 2, and the rest has been Scourge and a lurker transition from him. Oh, wasting Scourge on that factory there and dying to the longbolt missiles of those turrets as well. Really suboptimal play from Larva, because there could be a dropship trying to sneak out onto the map, or that's a vessel that he can't kill now. A little bit of a bad situation for Larva to be throwing away a few things in this game.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. I feel like he wanted to... Oh man, he's already got dropped. Double expansion here for Larva at the 2 islands. That's pretty cheeky. This base over here looks like it's dead. I don't think Larva's going to be able to save that. He's going to build a bunch of Sunkens up on his high ground and just run these drones away.
Yeah. I think this was just to get a bit of mineral income so that he could make a lot of Sunkens and take these island expansions. I think he never intended to hold on to this base, Sam.
Yeah, what it looked like to me with the 2 mutas is that he was going to try and dive in with the mutas with some Scourge underneath and just get a vessel kill or 2 if he could.
Absolutely.
But Sharp was all over that. He just irradiated immediately, and then Larva kind of allowed some of those Scourge to just die for free, and so he hasn't been able to kill even a single vessel. The vessel count is getting kind of ridiculously high now. There's going to be so many irradiates here soon, Xun.
Oh yeah, and he's going to need them as well, because there'll be a lot of Ultralisk units leveraged against Sharp here. And I mean, Crazy Terran getting this fast science facility into vessels is great. Oh, he's just missing the dropship. That's unfortunate for Larva. It would be great if he could snipe that. But yeah, basically this Crazy Terran style is the counter to Crazy Zerg. It doesn't really work against anything else but Crazy Zerg. So it is going to pay dividends here. He's not quite getting interceptions on these science vessels. Sharp just a little bit too on top of his control with those science vessel units. He's poking in the front, realizes there's way too much Sunkens to challenge, but he could try and elevate some units into the main by the use of that dropship. That's why he's irradiating the Scourge right now. He wants to make it impossible for Larva to stop this elevator going online.
Yeah, he's just throwing down a bunch of irradiates here. Larva definitely knows what's happening. You start irradiating a bunch of Scourge, he knows for a fact what's about to happen. Oh, going for an eraser trick here. He's going to lose the vessel, or he's going to lose the dropship, though. This is not going to work.
Yeah. I thought he was going to dematrix the dropship as well as doing the eraser trick. He could actually erase a trick. Yeah, it's okay, though. It's okay. He can maybe get some drone kills here.
Oh, my God. He's going to get so many drone kills here. This is crazy. Oh, man. So many drones are going to go down. Oh, he actually dives to the Nidus. The Nidus is up, so he can actually go ahead and jump through there. He even gets the vessels now. This is not the damage that I think Sharp was looking for, man. He was definitely going to get a lot more had he maneuvered those vessels around over top of the drones a little bit more quickly there.
Yeah, I mean, the Nidus Canals now being set up means he can, start to, split up all of his drones and saturate these islands very easily, defend them if he needs to. It's really hard to defend these bases without Nidus, but with them, it's going to be a little bit more easy for Larva to do so. Sometimes Mutalisks are better to use on this map just for the ability to shut down any kind of units in the air, like those vessels and dropships harassing your island expansions. But as long as you've got these Nidus Canal set up, then he's going to be fine. And he's going to be a little bit tactical here. He's got a Marine on the high ground to try and deny some mining. That's not too bad from Sharp, but he's not going to get much else besides that. As long as Larva's on top of things and put some units through this Nidus Canal, this other island expansion, he's going to be fine. Oh, some pretty big, juicy drone kills, though. Korean barbecue in the way of that firebat, cooking some of those drones in the line. That medic is blocking that ultra as well. Really well done from Sharp.
Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating to contend with, but he will eventually get back here, I believe. Dealing with these Marines is not too much of a problem when you've got ultras, especially with this much armor already. Going to that high ground, Sharp trying to be as annoying as possible, but Larva is getting the gas income that he desperately needs. He's got 4 gases operational here, Xun, and so he will start to pop out an insane number of ultras soon.
That's 1,200 gas a minute, 6 ultras potentially a minute he could produce, or 5 with some Scourge. Yeah, he's just going to be way too on top of defending this island expansion, it seems. There are a couple of medics that body block, but Scourge also flying in, catching one of those dropships on the exit vector, and with a Sunken here and some Ultralisks to clean up, there's not much that Sharp can do about this. Oh, the Ultra's stuck in the middle line. He might kill a couple of drones.
Getting a couple of drone kills there, not too bad for Sharp, but again, Larva is banking up this gas, and he's starting to kill off some of these dropships as well. So many science vessels were actually killed when that eraser attempt happened that there's really not that many left over for Sharp. He's spending most of his time with those starports actually just building up replacements for these science facility or science vessels, and of course making dropships now a physics lab here. He's going to start to make battle cruisers. We're going to see a really wacky game here as the battle cruisers start to hit the field.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe he can get Yamato and use the Yamato to actually kill the Nidus Canal connections on these islands. That might be a winning play here from Sharp if he can find that. I don't think he's going to make too easy of a job of it. If Larva doesn't know that there's BCs coming, then he can't make some spores to sandbag those, though. So yeah, maybe the battle cruisers actually could be a really strong winning ticket for Sharp going forward. It looks like he's got 3 starports worth of production. That's basically what you want, so you can have, like, 2 building battle cruisers and 1 still building vessels or something like that. And he's got an okay amount of vessels, but not the kind of amount that he needs in this game. Oh, he's going to kill the Sunken so that he can build spores. I think he's aware of the situation that he needs to actually build spores now to buffer against those potential cattle cruisers going to be coming out here from Sharp.
Oh my gosh, he's staking the island on Sharp's side of the map as well. That's pretty cheeky. Looks like Sharp gonna go ahead and drop off. Oh my gosh, he gets it. Huge kill there. Gonna keep this base alive, and that's gonna be a thorn in Sharp's side, man. Maybe he starts to make tanks, start dropping them on the other side, but then he could just drop some ultras on top of the tanks. It's not that difficult for Larva to deal with some of these little moves that Sharp is trying to pull, and Sharp just doesn't have a real angle to punish Larva just yet. I think it'll have to be the cattle bruisers doing some real heavy lifting. And if he starts to lose those really quickly early on, Larva's going to run away with this game with all this gas income at his disposal.
Yeah, I really do think so, Saiyan. I mean, he's going to take a 4th base now to try and play catch-up. Here they come. Battle cruiser operational. Going to be making their way down this vertical axis on the right-hand side of the map. Look at that beautiful scan from Sharp. Sees a massive flock of overlords. They do move in herds, Saiyan. Lots of irradiates coming down on top of those, trying to spell disaster for Sharp. We don't actually know if these are loaded up or not. These could be fake from Larva as well. It is possible, but I actually do think there's at least some units loaded up into those, pressuring the natural. Oh, the Overlord floated over the drones. Oh, he's losing a few workers there as well as being supply blocked.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Losing a lot of workers there, and even lost the workers on the gas. Hopefully he realizes that soon so he can get the gas back to mining. It's just so much going on when you're having to load up units and move them around the map like this. Players are not used to this type of movement, and it's costing them a lot of their APM.
Oh, this is very intensive to play a game like this. The amount of task switching involved is insane. Also, keeping like a mental tracking of where your units are located on all these islands and how to best navigate them is very tricky to keep up with. So yeah, maybe Larva might start to fall apart once these battle cruisers come online in a big way. He hasn't got Carapace upgrade on the air units, does Larva, so they do get one shot by these lasers on these battle cruisers.
No, he's
so
got
you
it.
essentially need. Oh, he has got +1 carapace? Okay,
yes.
that's a good... Oh, okay, that's really good then. Takes 2 shots to kill those Scourge, so he can actually just fly in to his heart's content like this and just easily eliminate these battle cruisers. It takes 5 Scourge to kill a battle cruiser, but you usually want to utilize 6 per, just in case 1 or 2 Scourge die.
Trying to take this base on Larva's side of the map now. Looks like, I think there's a bunch of Ultras in these. Oh my goodness, Ultras drop out on top of this Bioforce, and suddenly Ultras everywhere, completely surrounding this army. There's some more Marines making their way forward, though. Still a very strong follow-up army from Sharp. Can he actually crunch through this? I think Larva just barely has the numbers.
Wow. I don't even think it's barely saying. There's 10 Ultralisks available to him. He tried to do the medic wall trick to hold the line. Wasn't so successful. The Salvation Army not quite paying off in the times of old. Now this 4th base of Sharp completely exposed. He could also throw an irradiated Ultra into one of these mineral lines at this 3rd base as well to really cause an absolute pandemonium for Sharp to have to contend with. He needs to lift that CC really soon. Some battle cruisers moving over there to try and go up onto cleanup duty, but Ultralisks are not slowing down yet. They're going to rotate down to this 3rd base location, which is almost mined out anyway, and just trading with the bio units. Both players are pretty even on upgrades. It was 4-1 Ultralisks to 2-2 Marines. Now it's 5-2 Ultralisks to 3-3 Marines, and Larva is still just cleaning up.
Looks like the battle cruisers are getting a lot of good damage here, killing off tons of these Ultras, but the 4 gas is starting to come into full effect. And in fact, behind this, Larva took the 2 bases on his side of the map that are outside of his natural. So he's got this base and that base right there. Getting a good shot of that from our observer here. As extra gases come online, it's going to be so hard for Sharp to keep up.
Oh, he's going to end up going up into 6 gas. Obviously, the main and natural will be depleted in a few minutes, but that's crazy. I mean, he's going to have so much gas available to him. He's going to do another wraparound on this Bioforce, as well as trying to limit those vessels in the sky, only killing one of them with the Scourge. Every vessel that he kills is another nail in the coffin of Sharp right now. He is not trading well on the ground as well. All the science vessels falling out of the sky as well. Look at those spores buffering against the battle cruisers from getting much heavy lifting done. If maybe he had Yamato on those battle cruisers, he could use them to take out the spores and the Nidus canals on those islands and start to slowly cripple the economy of Larva that way. But I think it's going to take too long for that to come to fruition. He needs to maintain these other 2 mining bases out here, but he's not successful in doing so. Larva is starting to overrun him slowly but surely.
You know what? That's a lot of battle cruisers, and I didn't see a Defiler yet this game. My goodness, that is so many BCs. There's the Yamato. And GG is called. He taps out. My goodness, Larva goes through first. I didn't expect to see it, and looks like he is absolutely shocked as well. Completely blown away by his performance here today.
2-0 in his group. A little bit of a fist pump there. Leaning back in his chair and thanking the stars as well a moment ago. Well, he should. He is definitely a Star-Lord gamer. and potentially could propel himself not only to this round of 16, but maybe beyond as well. I think he's definitely a solid contender for the round of 8. Not so sure if he's going to be a semi-finalist, but he definitely could. This guy has won an ASL before and come close to winning others back in the day. And it's nice to see him survive this trial by fire and make it out of the group first, Sam.
That's a crazy map, and Larva had the correct build there. Sharp just not quite able to keep up. He was able to kill that one island base, but these moves from Larva are absolutely insane. Look at him pulling, what is this, 8 ultras here in these overlords?
Something like that.
So
Something
crazy.
like that.
Completely surprising Sharp as he's pushing in here. He was not targeting down these overlords because he had no idea that these were absolutely full of ultras.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 ultras in the overlords and a few on the ground to really quickly catch up with his pants down. He's got the +3 weapons, but the 5-2 is already finished on these ultralisks. So as long as he engages well, make sure there's surface area available to him and the medics aren't fully blocking, he will easily clean up shop here unless there's a massive blob of bio to contend with. But as long as you keep rolling the ball forward and trading bio off like this, they'll never have the amount of bio necessary to hold the line against this kind of count of ultralisks. And yeah, with the double expansion behind it as well, it's just too much gas to contend with ultimately for Sharp here. It was a valiant effort, but Larva making these maps not look so bad for Zerg after all.
Yeah, this is an insane map. I've played a little bit with Crazy Zerg on this map. I think I mentioned it right at the beginning of the cast. I wasn't sure we were going to see it here, but definitely Larva thinking the same thing, picking up on that strong position in the natural where you just can't be harmed and then going for those island bases. But he did it better than I ever could. Absolutely fantastic game plan and execution there from Larva.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, that means we've still got some great games available. We've got Stork versus Ample in that losers match, and whoever wins out of them will be facing off against Sharp in that finals match. Maybe Ample will get a bit of a comeback potential and redeem himself in that rematch. Or Stork will somehow put on a PVT performance of a lifetime and take both of these guys out. How insane would it be if Stork somehow eliminates both Sharp and Ample? That would be crazy.
Yeah, I think Sharp, I mean, he has to do it. This guy's one of my favorite players, Xun. I would be so disappointed if we saw Sharp go out here in the round of 24. I mean, just 2 seasons ago, he got 2nd place. How crazy would it be if either Ample or Stork manages to take him down?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it will happen, but you never want to count things out, especially in ASL. Crazier things have occurred, and you know, the upsets and the unexpected trajectories really do keep things interesting and adds a little bit of spice into the usual flavorings. And I wouldn't necessarily be too disappointed if Sharp doesn't get through, although I think he is a favorite and I would like him to. Though any spice added to the palette of this tournament, I think, is also a good thing.
Yeah, you can see here, just being a strong player does not get you through in ASL. You have to come with a fantastic game plan as well. Larva had the better plan here. Sharp wasn't able to react to it appropriately, and Larva is the first one to go through. I would have expected Sharp to beat Larva. If we were on, say, Radeon or Metropolis or something like that, there's a good chance, I think, that Sharp could end up doing that. But here on Screaming Sea, Larva had the better ideas and managed to execute.
Absolutely. And I mean, he looked like such a handsome nerd while doing it. I really do love these like broad rimmed glasses he's got as well. It gives him such a stylistic and unique look about him. And yeah, one of the only bearded gamers we've got here. I'm currently rocking a beard, so nice to see a fellow beard bro doing well here in life, saying I really would love to see this guy go the distance, go deep into this tournament. I think round of 8 is really reasonable for Larva. Maybe it's asking a bit much of him to already be a finalist or a semi-finalist this quick after coming back, but I think he's capable of it as well.
I definitely think you're right. He could for sure make that comeback. I'm excited to see what Ample has for us in this versus Stork game. Stork's PVT extremely strong, and you know what? Maybe Stork makes it through and goes into the round of 16 this year. Things have kind of aligned for him here, so that he only has Terran opponents standing in his way in these next games.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, it is Stork's best matchup. Stork is an absolute dinosaur of a player in terms of his forte and how long he's been a part of the scene. But that Dino toss can still hit hard in that versus Terran matchup, and who knows, might be the ticket to carry him all the way forward out of this group. Could eliminate both Ample and Sharp. Would be absolutely a crazy upset. I think Stork probably. I think, yeah, I would put him in 4th place in this group in terms of who I would expect to not do so well. I think that Ample's a little bit better practice than him and has been working a lot harder and is a bit more up and coming and fresh on the plate. I reckon that Sharp is just better than those two players as well. But I still think there's always that chance of an upset. And especially in his forte, we could be seeing crazy carrier micro and all kinds of shenanigans from Stork in these next 2 games.
There was a time, in fact, there was a long period of time where we saw Stork play basically only carrier in
Yeah.
his PVT, and he did it with some serious finesse. He was definitely formidable with the carrier play, but he's upped his game and he's widened his range of play quite a lot to where he's actually quite good with that best style of play, going for a lot of shuttles and getting into Storm and that sort of thing. We saw him take down players like Mind. In last season, he actually eliminated Mind in the qualifiers, if I remember correctly. He played some great games, and he showed us that he is still capable of learning. An old dog can still learn some new tricks.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible here. But following my heart and my predictions, I do think Sharp is going to be breaking out of this group still. We'll have to wait and see what happens because, I mean, Sharp's going to be waiting in that winners match for one of these two guys, Stork or Ample. But that was the TVP showdown we wanted, saying, and it probably will be a banger of a match almost no matter what happens. And it would be kind of cool for Ample to showcase some more of his ability, take out Stork in that losers, and have a chance at redeeming himself in that rematch against Sharp in the finals.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool as well. Ample. We haven't seen much out of him yet, but I'm excited for this next match. Perhaps this is his moment to shine, take down Stork, and try to redeem himself against Sharp. I'm excited for it. I'm all in it. Guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to have Ample versus Stork. Don't go away. All right, we are back. It's time for Stork versus Ample, guys. Get hyped. Get ready for this showdown. Terran versus Protoss. Which map are we going to get here? There's 3 potential maps and 2 bans, one for each player.
Right. We'll have to wait and see, because unfortunately I don't read Korean. I mean, I could try and learn what those Korean characters mean in terms of map names, but I certainly don't know right now. Looks like we're getting Knockout, basically the remake of Circuit Breakers here. That's great that we're going to see a bit of a variety today and get at least 2 of those 3 newer maps to play on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. This is a much more standard map. We don't have a lot of craziness here. There are quite a few different entry points to the 3rd and 4th base, which can be a little bit difficult to control. But with the tanks on high ground at that 3rd, you can control a lot of these different lanes and make it pretty hard for the Protoss to do counterattacks around your 3rd base, 4th base location. You can really lock down that corner of the map on 4 bases and make it hard for the Protoss to get in with any sort of drops or arbiter play.
But getting there can be an issue. You obviously have to establish yourself with that 3rd base to be safe. And there's always this problem of moving out to take that 3rd base, the Protoss player just swooping into the bulldog and ruining your day. You have to be really tentative about how you push across these bridges and take your time and not be too greedy with that 3rd base timing.
Yeah, anytime you're pushing up a ramp out of your natural is pretty tough as the Terran player. So you're going to have to be very careful about that. We've also got this kind of unique map feature with the ditch outside of the natural. It's kind of the reverse of some of these kind of weird pyramid-shaped high grounds on a lot of the newer maps. They've inverted it. And now it's kind of like a low ground ditch right in front of your natural that makes it very difficult for certain busts to be successful. So we'll see if that comes into play this game.
Yeah, it definitely is a trench that can cause you a lot of trouble here, Saiyan. We'll see if it comes into effect this game or whether both players will circumnavigate that effectively. This is going to be a crazy good game, I think. I'm so happy that the group has played out this way. It's exactly what our predictions were and what we expected. But let's jump into it, guys. Both players are ready. The ASL Season 20 Group A losers match between Ample and Stork and the map Knockout. Let's get it started.
Ample spawning over in the top left. Stork bottom left. Vertical map spawns here. Will be a little harder for Stork to get over to that high ground over on the 3rd, but it's still very accessible with so many different pathways up to that high ground. Be hard for Ample potentially to take that. We'll see how this plays out, though. A lot can happen in this early game. Are we going to see a Nexus first out of Stork? He really likes to take these early advantage and get as much of a lead as he can early on, but that may open him up to some punishment.
Yeah, I'm just kind of finding it a bit cutesy, some of these drawings we see. That's a really good Reaver, by the way. She did a great job on that. Yeah, some of these guys are pretty artsy and actually come with some really cool pictures and banners in the crowd. I always like to see them when ASL rolls around, Sam.
Yeah, it's a fantastic part of the ASL experience. If you guys get the chance to head over to Korea, definitely recommend getting into the studio and seeing it for yourself firsthand. It's something that you'll definitely want to do at least one time in your life if you're someone who's been following this game for years.
Yeah, Saiyan's been there. I'm totally envious of him that he was able to get down to the studio with his traveling. You managed to do that. Although you live quite in close proximity to Korea down there in Japan, boy. I'm kind of envious of you.
Yeah, it's crazy how cheap some of the flights are around here. Just a couple $100 for a round trip ticket from Korea to Japan.
Crazy.
As much as they tend to act like they don't like each other, they definitely like to visit each other's countries a lot. Tons of Korean tourists coming to Japan, a lot of Japanese tourists going to Korea as well.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I probably won't be able to make the trip myself, at least for a long time. It's just too expensive getting over there from this far away. It's just like thousands of pounds plus to get, you know, decent flights. And yeah, it's just a bit too arduous to make it. I'm just a lowly StarCraft caster. I can't afford that many plane tickets. I don't even really go on vacation that much. I'm pretty chill, minimalist kind of guy. But who knows? Maybe one day I can make it down there and be blown away by the experience. It would be a bit of a bucket list thing to tick off.
If you can make it out, I would definitely recommend it. Maybe someday, Xun. Hopefully not before something happens to the ASL, albeit it seems to be doing pretty well here with that Google sponsor up in the top left-hand corner, showing that off right now. That is a big ad for the ASL, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's such a big flex, actually. And it really does make me think that this game is going to stick around for many years to come, saying the sponsors just keep getting better. It does seem like we're ushering in a new golden age of StarCraft almost. And like chess, it's just going to stick around for a long time and be a relevant game no matter what else is coming onto the store shelves and what have you. And it does seem like a bunker expand here from Ample. Going to be getting a bit of a faster expansion timing than Stork back at home. So already going to be coming ahead with the economy side of things. But Stork quickly getting into that robo off of one gateway will be teching out pretty fast relative to Ample as a result.
Yeah, Stork did make some cuts here, seeing that Ample was going for this very quick CC. He threw down the Nexus there pretty darn early, even before his first Dragoon was out, and dropped that Robo right away as well. So skipping over range, going right into that Robo immediately. He's going to have some pretty quick harassment units to try and get across, do some damage to Ample, and even out that early game advantage from the gasless fast expand.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see Terran players get a slightly quicker gas when they play like this. Mong does that a lot, where he wants to not sacrifice his tech timings as well as double dipping with the greedy economy play of getting that CC out early. Seems like Ample going for a much more traditional style of bunker expand, so his factories are a little bit behind schedule. So maybe, just maybe, this Reaver harassment of Stork will pay dividends. Support bay already being built in that natural expansion to wall in against any kind of vulture harass is just now about to finish up, and maybe this SCV can scout it.
Yeah, that would be a big benefit. He'll know to add those earlier turrets, make sure that he's not going to be taken advantage of by this Reaver. Ooh. SCV there, nice block with the probe, preventing too much of a scout, but he sees the robotic support bay is done, and so he will be expecting a Reaver here pretty quick.
Yeah. Basically, like, there's a chance that he goes observatory into support bay, and the fact that the SCV saw that it was already finished tells him that that's not the case. So the Reaver timing will be a little bit sharper than usual, so he'll have to make some adjustments back at home to make sure he can defend against that fluidly enough. And yeah, with this little trench here, a little bit harder for the Dragoons to put on the usual kind of pressure to that bunker to force a bit of a tax out of the Terran for going for this bunker expand here. And I mean, that's a pretty big deal, I would say. Like, there's a few missed shots here. It's easy to repair that bunker. Ooh, Stork not really paying attention. Takes a lot of arc-light cannon shots on that bottom Dragoon. It's already on low yellow HP. Is taking a third base behind this, but that is a mineral only, not a gas expansion for a third. So won't be doing a lot of heavy lifting in this game. Trying to elevate one Dragoon with a Reaver into the main base, but the turret placement is so good for Ample right now. Stork has to rotate all the way around to get into the main.
Stork got to be very careful with these early units. He's gone for such a fast third base. He doesn't have the production to keep up with Ample. If he loses this Reaver or the shuttle, he's going to be open to a potential counterattack. And so he's going to get in here, try to get a bit aggressive, but has to be really mindful of his position and not overextend.
Yeah, you can see just Ample being active with 2 tanks following that shuttle around. Not really able to get a lot done with that harassment. Reaver also took a few shots onto that shuttle with those long bolt missiles of that turret. Needs to be super careful. He needs that defensively to slow down any kind of Terran push timings, because with this greedy third, like you were saying, it is a little bit exposed. And you can see now additional factories being made by Ample. That's 4 total. Could go for a 5th factory as well to really ramp up the unit production, go on the offensive, as well as having enough meat on the bone for Stork to chew through that. Taking a 3rd base won't be so difficult for Ample.
Stork was a little slow on the transfer here of probes, not getting the full benefit of such an early 3rd base, but he's got that mining now and should be able to crank out a lot of gateways to supplement this army and prepare for an early attack from Ample. You can see Ample scouting in here. He's going to see the 3rd base. Can he get this probe? Looks like he's going to be able to snag the probe as well. It's a pretty short distance between the 3rd and the 4th, so that's not going to slow down the Nexus by too much, but it will net him 1 kill, and is able to place mines over here on the right-hand side to see when at least Stork takes that 5th base, if that's going to happen this game.
I'm just happy it seems like Ample is dialed into his star sense and is playing as he should. Like, he misplaced his supply depot ever so slightly in the main base, and he knew that the SUV could get trapped up there, quickly cancels and places it in the right location. He seems to be smooth in his execution right now. He's not necessarily playing 100% flash optimally from back in the day, but this is pretty clean. He's even on supply with Stork. This 3rd base is pretty reasonably timed, just before 9 minutes starting to be made. That's fast enough here from Ample. This was a greedy Nexus from Stork, but looks like Ample coming in here and punishing by killing a couple of these probes, and he did slow down that 4th base ever so slightly. Maybe we will see a very powerful TVP game out here from both of these players. I don't think either player is like really far ahead right now. I think this is even enough that we're going to be seeing a good game, Sam.
I think you're right, Xun, and both players are powering up like crazy. Stork responded to the greed of Ample in the early game, going for that gasless fast expand by taking an early 3rd, and now Ample's responding to Stork's greed by taking his own 3rd really early as well. So he's managed to get that up pre-9, or about the 10-minute mark, it looks like. Gonna have that online. So a pretty quick 3rd base is Ample's response. Double shuttle into the main is how Stork will try to punish this. Oh, Reaver gonna eat one of those big mine connections, but the 2 Reavers still alive, and he's managed to open up at least an escape path for himself, so he can kind of play in the corner here with these 2 Reavers and eventually back out in kind of a safe location. Apple's kind of setting up to shut this down, though, with the 1 Goliath here and the turret. He's actually going to trap this shuttle. This is a pretty big move for Ample, completely shutting down this shuttle play.
I'm really impressed with Ample. I love that he had 2 turrets there in the main to kill one of those shuttles in transit coming into the main base. And yeah, with that Goliath on the periphery denying the exit vector, such high level play from Ample, and now opens him up to take his 4th base at the 12 o'clock, already on the way before 11 minutes ticks by. This game is going to be insane. Stork is going to keep expanding, I think, to the bottom right quadrant of the map, and Ample is going to have a very powerful 4 base timing to operate from. We're going to see a crazy TVP here. I think Ample is ahead, though.
I'm curious, is Stork going to try to switch into carrier? So far, looks like he's going for a much more standard build, at least standard for the modern era. Oh my gosh, he's getting in on top of these probes, dude. Not enough cannons. Stork eating some massive damage here. This is going to lose. He's going to lose every probe at this base.
That's 12 probes. That's 12 probe kills he just got. That's crazy, Saiyan. I think Ample is really ahead now. Like, I think he was a little bit ahead just a moment ago. Now he's pretty ahead. There is also a mine here that he has to detonate with this Zealot. Now he's looking for some Psionic Storm connections. I only think he killed like 1 or so SCVs there, but he did soften up the SCV train for future harassment. It's not usually the first Storm drop that does the damage at the pro level. It's the follow-up Storm drops, killing those low HP Zealot SCVs really quickly. He's getting a tactical snipe on all 4 of these depots in the main base with this Reaver, though. Just 1 more Scarab is all it will take to blow up 4 supply depots all at once. This Reaver's not getting out with its life, but he has effectively supply blocked Ample with this.
Yeah, that's a pretty good move for Stork, and Stork is looking pretty okay in this match so far, but just okay is not going to cut it for the ASL. Ample is exploding in supply and getting onto that 4th base now. He's managed to slow down Stork by quite a bit, and he's taken out this Reaver. He's got the setup here at the 4th. Will Stork be able to break that and shove him back down to a 3-base economy? Not with that tank line, I don't think so. That's a lot of tanks here set up for Ample, ready to take on this next attack.
Yeah, he's got a floating barracks to provide vision for those tanks to shoot at maximum range. Pretty nice bombing, though, from Stork, thinning out the herd of those tanks a little bit, softening up the line. Has got a depot that's forming a bit of a wall here on the right-hand side. Stork feels confident enough that he can break through with how many tanks he needs to drop. Here comes some Storm drops as well. Not really catching the SCV line, but helping break apart the tanks that were set up there. Now he can put pressure onto the CC, but it looks like there's just too much in reserve for Ample. Stork has to start tactically withdrawing from this position, although he is denying mining at this 12 o'clock. He was hoping that the SCVs would come back to mine sooner so that he could do a storm on the exit. He's actually using a High Templar to bomb tanks. He's absolutely crazy right now. Oh, that High Templar was a bit of a mistake, I think.
Oh, I've never seen a High Templar used as a bomb to try and draw tank fire, but there you go. There you have it. Actually getting a couple of good kills there, and forcing Ample at least to commit more resources to that and not push out here for a little bit longer so that Stork can take more bases on the map, try to set up another rally point potentially down here in the bottom right. He needs to get that done here soon. Otherwise, Ample is going to start to get out of control. Going up this high ground, how many probes is going to be able to kill over at this base down in bottom right? It depends on how many cannons are prepared here. 1 cannon is not going to cut it. Quite a few probes are going to fall here once again.
Yeah, he made some additional cannons as a follow-up, but they just take too long to warp in, man. It's not going to come into fruition. He did kill a few of those probes in addition. Stork not quite flowing in this game as he needs to. He has double expanded to this bottom right quadrant to keep up with the expansion pathing of Ample. That's 6 bases to 4, pretty much what you want to be at in this situation, but it's taken him a long time to secure these bases in the bottom right. I only got a few gateways down there as well to produce some high tempo to defend from the high ground. Looks like another train of raiding vultures coming down to this bottom right pocket, setting up some mines, scouting around, making sure Stork's not being too greedy by taking this mineral expansion as well. I think there's a few too many cannons set up at the 6 o'clock for him to go down there, but he's going to rotate around to the natural here in the bottom right. Stork doing a pretty good pylon wall, completely shutting out these vultures. He can't really do much down here now. He has to go all the way around and try and just buy a bit of time with these vultures, but it's not going to be good enough. Unfortunately, he's got another continuation effort now. Vultures on the left-hand side of the map trying to find compensation. If Ample's not careful and he loses too many of these vultures, he will open himself up to a counter-attack if there's then not enough vultures to screen against the stream of zealots that could flood his way.
Picking off all of these zealots here is going to potentially cut down on that, but the huge connection there with the mines. He loses a lot of these vultures, and the majority of these are going to go down before getting any additional probe damage. Is there a counterattack potential for Stork right now? It doesn't really seem like it, but he is in fact getting these bases in the bottom right-hand corner down and set up with lots of cannons. I really like that move with the extra pylons that you pointed out earlier. Kind of thinking on his feet, showing that he's still got it there. However, oh my gosh, more vultures going to come in. There's enough vultures here to just kill the cannons and all the probes.
Yeah, as soon as they have a few upgrades online, Vultures actually can start to chew through buildings a lot more effectively. If Stork doesn't get over it quick, he would be able to kill the Nexus as well. So Stork has to respect this and respond very quickly to that. There's an observer providing some detection as well for these mines. But yeah, Ample being as annoying as possible with as few units as possible. Both players are maxed out, so throwing away a few Vultures isn't a big deal as long as you keep the Protoss on their side of the map and not set up for any counterattacks. And with the entrenched positions of those 4 bases, probably Stork doesn't have a lot of options available to him, but looks like Ample is about to roll on out. He's got 1-1 upgrades finished. I have to imagine that +2 weapons is about to be done. That's why he wants to start rolling out now towards the center of the board. It will be a little bit more time until the upgrade finishes up, probably about 30 seconds to a whole minute until it's done. Stork wants to engage now before that +2 weapons does come online. It's 2-2 upgrades for Stork against the 1-1 of Ample. Lots of Psionic Storms starting to blanket the front line of those Terran tanks, but he's got so many in reserve that Stork has to tuck tail and run.
Yeah, Stork has to back out here, and he hasn't traded out that many tanks as well. A lot of these tanks still alive, and he can very quickly replenish on the Vultures here to continue this push. Has to stay a little bit static while waiting for those additional reinforcements. Doesn't unsiege everything, so these bombs are going to continue to be effective, dropping on top of these tanks and picking off more and more of them. This is stuff that Stork has to do to keep this game scrappy. There's the 2-2 finishing up. Unfortunate that Ample moved out just before those upgrades finished.
Yeah, it is very common, though, for Terran to jump the gun a little bit and, already gain ground when those upgrades come online to keep their timings as crisp as possible. More tanks falling to some Sonic Storms for Stork here in this game. Rolling down all the way to the rally point location in the bottom right quadrant of the map is Ample. Stork has the high ground position to try and challenge this. Is these upgrades going to be enough to do the heavy lifting for Ample? Lots of shuttles with bombs, though, laying down Zealots and High Templars onto these tank lines. Here comes more and more Storms as well to connect with those. Not the best of splitting of tanks from Ample as well, but there might just barely be enough threshold of units here to hold the line against Stork. It seems like most of the tanks will die, but some Vultures are showing up to save the day a little bit.
Yeah, picking off these tanks, though, is huge. He's resetting the tank count in such a massive way. It's going to be so hard for Ample to continue this push now, and he may just get run over with the next few rounds of Zealots and Dragoons. Look at all the Zealots here at the rally. So many shuttles to bring to the bear, and I see only 3 tanks on screen. Another 3, 4, 5 tanks going to join that. That's quite a few, but he does not have the anti-air to deal with all the Zealot bombs that are coming his way.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble as soon as they connect with him. Oh, look at the Storm drop at the 9 o'clock position as well. So much energy. Pretty much all of these SCVs are going to fall. That's insane damage to Ample. Where are the Zealots that are going to be bombing onto these siege tank lines? So here they come now. So many Zealots flooding out onto those siege tanks. Only a few Goliaths on the left-hand side. Can't really do too much to stop these shuttles from getting the job done. There was a preemptive D-Matrix on that forward siege tank to save the day, though. So we will maintain this siege on this bottom right quadrant rally point. He's starting to put pressure onto this Nexus down here. Stork making so many High Templars to try and use the splash damage to keep Ample at bay. Ample knows there is still a timing here while he's churning away on 3 mining bases to get the job done. If he can ram it down in this bottom right, that is technically a massive win condition for him, and he is killing this Nexus. He is making progress, saying Ample might be able to do this.
Wow, Ample is growing so quickly in this game, even taking center left during all of that attacking, and he's set up a ton of turrets over at this position. The bombs, the Zealot bombs from Stork, just didn't do as much damage as I was expecting. The D-Matrix came in clutch there for Ample, and he just held this position down firmly with Stork kind of under his boot now. Will he be able to squirm his way out with some good drops to sort of disrupt Ample's income and potentially get on some of these tanks? It's going to be a very hard sell for Stork at this point. He's dropping on top of these tanks here at center right, getting some huge storms. Oh my goodness, the storms.
so many SCVs dying, and he loaded up another shuttle with Zealots before going in there to make sure he could also help take out the tanks that were fortifying that position as well. A lot of infantry forces for Stork also making their way up to this 9 o'clock position, applying pressure to Ample where his units are thinnest right now. Ample's maintaining a contain in the bottom right quadrant of the map, but it means that this 9 o'clock base is a little bit more exposed than it should be. That's so many tanks that are leveraged down in that bottom right corner. That Stork is now rotating his efforts to this 9 o'clock position instead to slow down the Terran, but he does have that mineral only and 12 o'clock still online, so even though he does take a lot of losses at that 9 o'clock in the way of workers, having 2 mining bases as Terran is all you need to have hope in the game.
I think this is kind of a no-win situation now for Stork. If he goes down to bottom right and clears that base, or clears this force, Ample's going to move forward and kind of contain him over at his natural, no doubt. He's actually going to come over here and reinforce. He's pincering the Protoss army right now, but he can't move those tanks down at the bottom right, so maybe not the best idea here. A lot of Zealots running forward, getting on top of some of these tanks. The reinforcements are going to be cleaned up from Ample, so Stork actually getting a bit of a win here. Still has that kind of difficult situation with the containment down in bottom right. He hasn't been able to break that yet, and that is preventing him from continuing to grow.
Yeah, I do like the army movements there of Stork. He kind of baited Ample into a bad trade, making it look like he was going for those siege tanks, forced Ample to set up a pincer maneuver, and then jumped onto those slightly less fortified units in the center of the board as a result. Only ahead in supply by about 20, 30 or so is Stork. Hasn't got this natural expansion in the bottom right. He really needs an additional mining base to solidify his position in this game. Ample knows it. He's tightening the noose around Stork ever so slightly over time. Here comes Stork trying to do a massive bust out now. He's got some infantry in the center of the board preventing reinforcements, while the Zealot bombs onto those siege lines in the natural give adequate support to those Dragoons busting out with some High Templars in reserve as well. Stork has broken the contain, but there are more forces of Ample showing up.
Yeah, it's such a difficult position to play from. He's managed to break the contain, but then the contain is reset over on the other side of these bridges. It's almost impossible for Stork now to break across those bridges, and although he can resume growth, try to get that base at the bottom right, that natural, Ample is controlling top right, and he's going to start to grow into that area, splitting the map in half and giving Stork a heck of a time here. More storms go down, a great storm drop there, killing even more workers. I'd love to get a worker count at this point because he has just killed so many workers throughout this game. I wonder how many Ample has left at this point.
Well, I mean, the mineral only is now mined out for Ample, and there's only about, 7 or 8 minutes worth of minerals in that 12 o'clock position. So these storm drops at 9 o'clock are really going to start to take their toll on this Terran player. Problem is right now Ample is technically trading better overall. Stork, though, trying to make enough effort of breaking out from this contain, killing a few tanks on the forward periphery of these lines that aren't so well fortified. And that's basically how Terrans play. You kind of set up this massive contain, you kind of leapfrog forward with 1 or 2 tanks at a time to apply pressure to the Protoss player. But I mean, Stork, he's not really done that good of trading to prevent this from coming into fruition. He's got a few High Templar units on the high ground over here, but he's going to lose the Nexus yet again. Stork is unable to grow, and he's starting to be stifled by Ample. More High Templars falling to Vultures as well. I don't think there's any energy for D-Matrix right now, so these storms are being pretty effective, but it's not enough to completely break the contain line.
Ample is relentless down here in the bottom right, and there's nothing left for Stork. He's mined out pretty much everywhere. His natural main, 3rd and 4th are mined out. This bottom right is all that remains, and Ample is continuing to grow. He's actually not started to take the base in top right. I thought he would grab that by now, but maybe not having enough SCVs after all the damage that's gone on this game. He's having a hard time mining this center left. It's one of the few remaining mining bases for him, but he's ahead in workers, and he has that 3-3. That's really all he, or ahead in army supply, excuse me, and he's got that 3-3. So that's really all he needs to close this game out. As long as Stork doesn't have a big economy, Ample can sit back and just wait for Stork to make his next move.
Yeah, it's 2 base Terran versus 1 base Protoss, at least for a few minutes here. You do not want to be in that position as a Protoss player pretty much ever. And even going to be floating over the CC from the main base, slowly but surely, to this top right quadrant of the map, just to checkmate Stork indirectly in a battle of attrition. Stork has relied on maneuver-based warfare to try and do the heavy lifting, siphoning off the economy by Storm dropping that 9 o'clock relentlessly, but Ample has done a more formidable job of just reinforcing this container in the bottom right and doing what needs to be done to set up his wing conditions and slowly but surely bleed Stork out of this game.
Ooh, that's rough. Watching those probes try to return long distance mining to the bottom right. Finally, there's enough defenses here. But Stork just cannot get any further economic damage to that base. He's going to try one last attempt to break out of this location. Beautiful EMP there, cutting off the only remaining hope for Stork with that simple spell. Now there's no way for him to break out of this position, and the writing's on the wall for Stork. He's just biding his time here and waiting for the tap out.
Yeah, I mean, Ample is just ticking boxes at this point. It's such a linear way that he needs to win. Just keep reinforcing this rally point location while macroing on all cylinders. He's got that newly established mineral-only income as well to supplement, to fire on all cylinders. He's 50 supply ahead of Stork. The standing army of Stork just completely eviscerated to that siege tank line. Unfortunately, Stork is going to be eliminated here. I don't think there's any comeback potential for him now that he's been unsuccessful in securing an additional mining base. He's desperately long distance mining with some of these probes here while he still can, but he is not long for this world, saying he's a dinosaur of a player and he's about to go extinct in this tournament.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. At just 80 supply, Stork is flying around with a single shuttle and just a few High Templar playing around back at home. Apple's being super careful not to allow Stork any room to breathe here, not make any mistakes, but he could honestly just unsiege everything and move forward, and he should be able to win this game.
Yeah, it's a shame because sometimes Stork can still perform in this current day and age, but he's looking more like a fossil right now rather than a fully blooded T-Rex, and he will be tapping out soon, I imagine. He's just kind of fighting a little bit stubbornly against Ample, maybe a bit frustrated with how this game has gone. He does look a little bit depleted on that camera there, a little bit maybe disheartened by how this panned out, because it did look pretty hopeful for him previously. It's just slowly but surely Ample has tightened the noose around his neck and Stork is all but hung.
His bones are slowly calcifying into the soil. And there it is. He does tap out. He's become a full-on fossil here and has gone extinct. Ample, the meteor to take him out at the end of this group. The first player eliminated is Stork, and Ample gets his second chance to take on Sharp in the final match.
Yeah, I think he spilled a little bit of water there while taking a sip, so maybe Ample having a bit of nerves as well, having a little bit of a hard time performing without shaking a teeny tiny bit on stage. It is so hard to play when the lights and the cameras are on. There's people in the crowd watching you. So I think Ample not quite fully adapted to playing on stage yet again, but he is performing though. That was a really good game against Stork. How well will he do against Sharp for that rematch in the finals? We'll be finding out soon.
Yeah, that's going to be coming up here in just a moment, guys. We're going to go to commercial break. And when we get back, Ample versus Sharp. Guys, go ahead and say hello to YouTube. We'll be right back. All right, boys and girl, we are ready for our final match of the night. TVT, the rematch between Sharp and Ample. Just about time to get this one going. What's your predictions for this match, Xun? I'm curious.
I think Sharp's winning.
I'm curious which map they're going to end up going out on as well.
Yeah, that's a curiosity. I mean, obviously they can ban, and it'd be nice if we see all 3 maps. We see Litmus here as the final pick, but we'll see. I'm happy with pretty much whatever these guys decide to choose. I don't think we're getting Screaming Sea. I think it'll either be Knockout or Litmus for these 2 guys here to duke it out in the finals. Happy to see Ample get a chance having a rematch here against Sharp. It's been a bit of a long while since he's been in the ASL. I think it was ASL season 16, which he was last a part of. I think he did manage to break through to the round of 16, but before that, he's always been this guy that gets knocked out in the round of 24 kind of guy, and we might be seeing another day like that for Ample, unfortunately. He's number 1. He's so good, but saying hold the phone because both players are ready. We are jumping into it. The ASL Season 20 Group A Finals match. Ample versus Sharp, and the map is actually Polestar.
Sharp spawning in the top left. Ample over in the top right. I'm so scared, Xun. I don't want to see Sharp go down.
It's okay.
Come on, buddy.
You'll be all right.
He's got to make it through. Ample has shown some pretty strong play. I mean, definitely Sharp looked dominant in that first game between the two, but maybe he's gained some confidence back after beating up on Stork a little bit there in that losers match. Coming back here with some renewed vigor in the final.
I'll just put it bluntly. This is Sharp's best matchup. This is Ample's worst matchup. I think if you were a betting man, your money should be going on Sharp here. Although, there's always that chance that, Ample upsets here. Just because the favorite is Sharp doesn't mean like there's no hope for Ample. It's more like it's a 60-40 or 70-30 split kind of thing, right?
I'm leaning towards that 70-30 split. Yeah, you'd have to put your money on Sharp if you want a good chance of winning, but we always say best of 1. It's scary. Anything can happen. If this was a best of 5 between these two, I would put everything I have on Sharp, but you're in a best of 1. I don't know, man. It's tough to make that call.
Right. Yeah, I think in like a best of 5, best of 7, it's like 70+% for Sharp. In a best of 1, it's a little bit closer to that 60-65% advantage only, just because of how crazy best of 1s can be. Anything can happen, saying. I mean, these guys are good enough to take a single game of pretty much any gamer on the planet. Maybe not necessarily a whole series, but a single game, sure. These guys can take pretty much anyone on. And Ample, number 1 on the ladder. This guy is a grinder through and through. He's been putting out so many games, so much practice. I don't think he's going to have an easy time against Sharp, just because this is a bit of a deficit for him in terms of matchup favorability. He's so good in TVZ and TVP. TVT's always been a little bit of struggle for this guy.
I've seen that used by some players arguing for Ample and his ability, saying, talking about him being number 1 on the ladder, and though that does have some validity, the difference between playing in ASL and playing on the ladder is it's just so far removed. So it's crazy to think, being number 1 on ladder means anything at this highest of levels. Grinding on ladder is something that very few seasoned professional players actually do. Most of the time they're going to be spending their time practicing in custom games with other strong opponents, or participating in other tournaments, or just practicing on their own against AI, just practicing their builds and trying to get them down to an absolute science.
Yeah, they almost never play serious. Did he just misplace that command center? I think that command center is off by a hex, by the way. I think it is. He's gonna have to float that over to the left a little bit. But yeah, as I was saying, it's basically like not a night and day difference. I mean, everyone's playing super seriously at the ASL. Pretty much always you're going to be seeing an absolute try-hard fest between these two guys. When it comes to online play, it's so rare for these gamers to even take the game seriously. Sometimes they'll use it as like a match finder to find a pro to play with. Like they'll bump into someone that they like to play with, and then after the ladder game, they'll queue up for like a series of custom 1v1s and kind of use the ladder as a match finder for some pros they actually want to go toe-to-toe with. Especially if it's a foreigner player, these guys do not use their best builds against foreigner players on that ladder, so it's really hard for the foreigners to even break in to this ASL scene. For that reason, you can't even get the practice necessary to do so.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into preparation for these events, and you know that Sharp and Ample have both put in massive effort to try and get to their absolute best form here prior to this event. Going to be transferring workers here on both sides. Both players kind of going for mirrored builds here so far. Another one straying from kind of the standard play style, adding on that double factory here with the expansion and
yeah,
pumping out some early vultures. Neither player has any sort of advantage here. Almost completely even in all ways at this point.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we were so happy to run our mouse for that many minutes is just because of how nothing extraordinary has happened. This has been about as standard of a TVT as standard can be. There's been no one stepping off of the beaten path here, not even going for a Vulture Wars or anything. Like, yeah, literally just very tried and true Terran versus Terran style. You can see both players more or less moving out at the exact same timing with almost the exact same configuration of units. The only difference here is that Sharp's brought his 2 Marines to bear, whereas Ample hasn't. Starting to lay down mines now, though, in this track to retreat onto. Maybe get lucky with some connections if Sharp was to overstay his welcome and push forward here. That's what Ample's kind of hoping, but both players have the exact same tactics in mind. They played this scenario out hundreds of times before. Probably neither player will overstep their welcome.
Oh, that would be disastrous, and both players know how important this game is. Their tournament life on the line here. There's no need to do anything crazy. I'm just going to rely on their fundamentals and trust in their skills to take them through to that round of 16. One of them is going to be wrong, though. One of them is going to be overtaken here. Just who's it going to be? Ample grabs his third base at a very early time. Look at that third base here, and Sharp actually spots it as well with the barracks. I mean, big moment.
These guys are so dialed into their game, saying like the fact that he's going for this greedy of a CC behind 3 factory, and the racks of Sharp is floated in such a way to spot that the instant it comes down, so he can start his own CC. Like, this is such a well thought out Terran versus Terran from both players. You can see just how much effort they have both put into this game and this tournament in preparation. Certainly not a single mistake from either side for the time being. Here comes Sharp, though, trying to slow down this CC of Ample. He is a little bit ahead of a schedule, so he's going to slow that down now. Snipe the SCV, rotate round to jump on top of these vultures of Ample as well. He has got a slightly higher count. Tanks rolling down to support that, forcing an evacuation, and he will be catching a few more of those. Oh, he's going to go for a mine tactic on those tanks now with a few rally vultures to try and support, get some massive connections, take them down to red HP. 2 of them biting the dust. That's a massive pickup for Sharp, and he's going to shut down the building SCV yet again, Saiyan.
Oh my gosh, how does he keep doing it? How does he keep getting away with it? Getting into the natural here, Sharp. Gonna get so much damage on these SCVs. The mines were being targeted so nicely by Ample in that engagement, but he missed one. Sharp able to throw down so many mines in such rapid succession that Ample was not able to keep up with that, and he still gets in here more and more damage getting done, and Sharp is extending that lead. He's going to have a tank lead. He's going to have his CC done faster, and he's going to have more SCVs. He's ahead in just about every way.
I mean, it's just so formidable from Sharp. Like, Ample technically had better macro in this game. His build order was a little bit cleaner. He was squeezing out a few extra workers than Sharp could. Everything was looking great for Ample, but he did cut a little bit on that Vulture production to make it all happen. And as a result, Sharp found a little tiny timing window to punish with those mines. And now suddenly Sharp is the one looking like he's in the driver's seat. Ample had such a quick expansion, but he's actually mining slower than Sharp is at that third base due to how crazy that harassment was.
Yeah, now Sharp moving forward. The superior tank count can start to take this high ground. The position here is so important for either player. It's not going to be totally containing Ample. There's still a lane to the south that he can escape from, but getting up here and holding down this high ground, incredibly powerful in TVT.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about lane control and controlling the center of the board here. So far, though, Sharp hasn't got control over the east side of this map, so Ample's still in a pretty okay spot. Doesn't have to worry too much for the time being. If he gives any more territory to Sharp, though, things will start to spiral out of control. He's got basically the minimum threshold of lane control that he needs to take a fourth base and be pretty reasonably safe in this game going forward. Though you can see Sharp is kind of gearing up to box him in slowly but surely. He's got vultures laying down mines here on this southern lane here. Ample also aware that he needs to play keep away from allowing Sharp to slowly strangle him out of those lanes later on. So he's also going to be active with these vulture bikes out on the map and just try and make sure he can prevent disaster by Sharp slowly tightening the noose around him. He has also got a Wraith that's not necessarily going to do too much damage, but it's going to provide a lot of vision for these siege tanks to get shots off slightly ahead of their vision range.
So Ample is setting up for a pretty well-timed second upgrade here on his tanks. He's already got the science facility done, and his +1 just finished, so he will be starting +2 right away, and maybe looking for an advantage when it comes to the timing on that +2. You can see +1 still not done for Sharp. It's going to be finishing up here soon, but I don't think he's got the science facility on the way just yet. And so, okay, there it is. +1 is done, so he's a little bit behind there. I'm thinking that maybe there's a shot here for Ample when he hits this +2 to make a big move and try to break through one of these areas for Sharp, because Sharp is slowly closing in on him, surrounding him on all sides and cutting off these lanes.
Yeah, I mean, 10-20 seconds of a gap isn't that big of a deal in terms of upgrade timings, but if it's any more than like a half a minute or a minute, then yeah, that's a massive window to exploit from the player that gets that +2 weapons quicker. It does seem like the 1-1s are more or less in synchronization, though, just a few seconds behind is Sharp. Has got that science facility as well, so there will not be an upgrade advantage to exploit from Ample. He is slowly starting to pull a bit of a fleet of Wraiths, though, whereas it looks like Sharp's unit composition of choice is going to be pretty heavy into the drop ships, which is more traditional in Terran versus Terran. A lot more players are drop ship centric in that mid game, but there's only one tank holding the center of the board right now. Ample going to pounce on that, clean up the mines, take away that siege tank, and open up the position a lot. Now Sharp's lines are technically exposed.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous to try and push through this middle, though, with so much map control for Sharp. A lot of those vultures dying like popcorn, just exploding as the tank fire rains down on them. Dropship moving around the outside, like you were talking about before. The rates are in a high number. Is he going to be able to bring them to bear in the at the point where they're necessary? This drop coming in could slow down the fourth base here for Ample, while Sharp has already got the fourth down at the top center. This is a lot of vultures moving forward to try and break this position. Ample really showing up with his overall macro. Oh, but there's a big drop over here at the center right, killing off a bunch of SCVs, and Sharp bringing up a few more additional units should be able to block this attack from doing too much to the top center.
Yeah, I think this still works out better for Sharp long term here. He did a good valiant effort of trying to break through. The Wraiths are going to be shut down a little bit by those Goliaths. He's got some SCVs to repair those. If only there was, like, say, one Goliath there, maybe he could bully this position more. But with 2 Goliaths available to him, he will be able to hold the line against the Wraith harassment. Finally going to be expanding to that 3 o'clock position, but not before losing more and more SCVs now at the natural 3rd location with those vulture drops from Sharp. It seems like Ample not quite dotting all of his I's and crossing all of his T's here in this game. He's allowing Sharp to slip through with the harassment a bit too cleanly.
Yeah, he's getting so much damage done. He's even going to maybe kill this tank as well. Kill a bunch more SCVs, that's for sure. Okay, he's gonna kill the tank. Wow, just going after that.
No way.
Oh man, he's gonna repair. Oh gosh, he almost saved it, but it does end up going down. The big reveal of the Wraiths actually not paying off very well for Ample, and he's gonna lose the remainder of the Wraiths here. Like, there's this moment where the Wraiths, you know, they've been building up for a long time, and then they suddenly come onto the scene. If you're not getting a huge amount of damage in that moment, and killing off a bunch of tanks or taking a really important position, you're not doing it right. And Ample, he just wasn't really able to push here. Now going to be able to clear out this little force of Sharp, kind of like a mine clearing force there. At least he's able to shut that down. But yeah, doesn't get much out of those Wraiths and loses a lot of SCVs on his side of the map. It's kind of crazy that Ample's still ahead in supply, though. His mechanics are pretty on point, despite all of the problems that have happened in this game.
I was literally about to say, like, his mechanics in terms of his economy and production are really high level, but he's losing out on the maneuvering and the harassment style of this game. He's not quite task switching as efficiently as Sharp has been in this game. And even though it looks like Ample's doing good on the board because he was slightly ahead in supply, that's now changing. Sharp's back to being ahead a little bit. And the most important thing here is that Sharp is taking 9 o'clock as his 5th base, whereas there is not an easy path of expansion for Ample to take his own 5th base. He's going to be, like, basically exposing his lines to do so, expanding all the way down to that southern threshold, whereas Sharp can kind of defend by attacking right now. And he's got this 12 o'clock pocket more or less secure, but it looks like Ample's now starting to challenge that. He looks like he actually might be able to break through here at the 12 o'clock. This could be a big turning point for Ample. If he's able to take out this base at the 12 o'clock, this 9 o'clock base won't be as big of a deal anymore.
Oh man, the drops getting in here to the center right is pretty sweet, and that's a lot of Goliaths as well. SCVs do pretty good against the tanks there, and he is going to get the pretty good surround here on that tank, but the Goliaths just cut through SCVs like butter, killing off so many of those, and he's even going to get in here between the reinforcement path and start to set up tanks where Ample would be sending his units to try and reinforce that spot. Getting on top of this base here as well, killing off a lot of workers, dropping mines on top of the tanks and getting those kills. Oh my goodness. Sharp is doing everything all at once, and he's crushing through Ample's defense.
Yeah, and Goliath drops have been a staple in Terran versus Terran mirror matchups for more than 20 years, say. I'm not surprised to see it at all. It's so cost efficient. It's brutal how Sharp is just slicing through him like Mr. Jinsu right now. Gordon Ramsay himself. Eyes will be watering at the cutting skills of this guy, as there seems to be no defense to this harassment that's just relentless. Another tank falling to mines, and so many SCVs eviscerated to those fragmentation grenades of those vultures, saying this is just crazy levels of damage. I don't think this position for Ample is going to be tenable for much longer. Another expansion being established by Sharp to make up for the fact that 12 o'clock is not currently mineable, and the harassment has almost been game winning for him thus far.
I'm still shocked that Ample's only 5 supply behind. Okay, some more units pop out and he takes a bit more of an advantage. Still, Ample hanging in there, crazy enough as it is, still managing to stay in this game somehow, but Sharp is expanding all over the map, and he just does not care about those mechanics. He's going to keep hitting you over and over and over again, and punishing every single move of Ample, getting in there and just tearing apart that economy. Now moving around the bottom side and setting up the full containment surrounding everything that Ample has.
It's just the map control that Sharp has ascertained that's going to be so difficult for Ample to dislodge and make something happen. He needs to push Sharp back and also expand to the bottom right, or he could attack like on this horizontal axis and shove Sharp all the way back so that he can lay siege to this natural third base of his. He's doing an okay job of it. I just think the lines of Sharp running a little bit too deep. 3-2 attack upgrades, whereas only +3 for Ample. So he's got the weapons, but not necessarily the armor. So it does take a little bit extra damage from things like Goliaths and Vultures there that he would usually. He has managed to creep his way all the way over to this natural third of Sharp, but is it too little too late?
Well, we'll see. I mean, Ample gonna start to shut this base down a little bit at least. There's a science vessel here, kind of hanging out over top of the Ample army, dropping on top of everything with some vultures, getting some great vulture bombs, I suppose, on top of these tanks, having to unsiege and resiege over and over again until he can get rid of that vulture. D-Matrix tank here in defense of this base at the top left, and Sharp's gonna hold on to that for now. He's not really too worried about losing control of this base, though, I don't think, as he's just taking so much of the map down in bottom left.
Yeah, some people might be watching this game and think, well, Ample's only 10 supply behind. He's fine, right? Well, supplies don't really tell the story in StarCraft, especially mirror matchups like Terran versus Terran. Maybe Zerg versus Zerg, it'd be a bit more obvious that it's a clear advantage. But positionally, Sharp is really far ahead. Sharp has a little bit of a problem of Ample taking control of the center here, but he has to do something with it. Just positioning your units here is one thing, but actually utilizing it to establish expansions and opening up lanes of attack to harass the expansions of Sharp need to be accomplished by Ample as well. He's not being active with, say, Vulture raiding parties. He's getting some pretty good trades here on the northern flank, though Sharp fighting back strong, keeping those tanks far enough back that they can't really threaten the economy lines of Sharp. Here comes a bit of a fleet of dropships, though. 3 dropships available to Ample to start launching assaults here from the 12 o'clock position, maybe into the main base, trying to finally get some much needed damage. That floating command center providing vision of that. There's a few turrets as well set up here, but he will get a lot of units set up in the back of the main base production line of Sharp.
We'll lose 1 dropship for that privilege, but this is quite a annoyance for Sharp right now, who, you know, is kind of focused on containing Ample. He doesn't want to have to be dealing with a drop like this. That's sometimes the best way to deal with the contain, though. Ample knows it, and he's going to get in here and cause some disruption. Drop on top of this could be very helpful in clearing out the tanks that are super bunched up on top of each other. Looks like he will clean this up without too much problem, but Ample going to make another move. These are some good plays by Ample, getting the drop and then making this move over towards the top left base. That's pretty fantastic. Another great drop there, though. Oh my goodness, getting some huge kills on these tanks. SCVs are going to go down, but Sharp is fine with that. He's got lots of income right now, and he's got a big bank.
Yeah, this is the main issue right now, is that like Ample can't really expand to the bottom right without being really exposed. He needs to go on the offensive. He's finally been successful in accomplishing his goal of taking out that natural third of Sharp, but it was almost close to being mined out anyway. And these additional bases that sprouted out from Sharp, he's now taking 6 o'clock as well, have really been paying dividends for him. He's trading more efficiently than Ample as well by how task switchy he's being with these dropships, just non-stop action. It's almost like baby-esque with how much he's using these dropships. A lot of Terran players kind of gradually stop using dropships to harass the longer the game goes on and use them more as like mobility units to move your army into big positions all at once rather than the skirmishing and bombing with them non-stop. Sharp doing a great job of that, though. Another effort from Ample to put some units in the back of the base of Sharp caused a little bit of a headache, distract him by forcing him to pull back all of his forces to defend, and then opening up the position elsewhere for Ample to potentially gain ground.
Going to be a counter drop here, but this leading dropship is super low on HP. He's going to pull that back very smartly. keep that dropship alive so that these army can get out and deal with this tank force in the back of his base. Pretty decent trade there for Ample, though, overall, causing a lot of stir in the Terran base, and also getting a pretty good trade against that army. Now starting to fire over the wall into the main as well. Oh my gosh, Ample is starting to gain some ground here and taking over some of these areas, pushing all the way up towards the natural of Sharp. But is this an overextension now?
It might be. I mean, that's a full energy. That's a full energy vessel as well. So he has 2 D-Matrix available to him to push forward here. I don't think this is going to work out for Ample. Sharp is going to drive a wedge between the rally point and these containing tanks on the left-hand flank. Now Ample is in trouble. These units are more or less stranded and providing very minimal value. He's locking out that 3rd base from being mined, but Sharp already has so many bases set up in the bottom left quadrant, as well as 6 o'clock. And Ample, most critically, cannot expand on that vertical access any longer. He is slowly drying up in this game.
This is still a very intense TVT. There's a lot that can go wrong here, but Sharp is slowly starting to close the noose. Can he push forward and close this game out? Ample bringing some tanks back from that position where he was able to shell the main base. He knows that he has to keep this 12 o'clock online, or he's just going to run out of economy. Double tank drop down at the 6 o'clock. This is a valiant effort from Ample, but he's running out of time in this game as Sharp continues to track down these small contingents of army that Ample's using to cause him a headache.
I can see why Ample's #1 on the ladder. A lot of these moves are very fundamentally strong, for sure, but they're lacking that extra layer of finesse that you see in ASL performances. He's really talented and a hard worker, but he doesn't quite have the flourishes necessary to get one over his opponents at this high level of a tournament. And unfortunately, Sharp does. Sharp has done the same kind of hard work ethic as Ample and has a few extra fancy finesse plays to utilize to kind of make up the deficit whenever he does overstay his welcome. And overall, he's just out expanded Ample to the point where this is going to be a numbers game very soon. Looks like finally Ample being active with some vultures to lay assault to those mineral lines at long last, but it's nearly 26 minutes for this to come online. He should have done something like this earlier, opened up the lines of Sharp and gone for these harassments when he could minutes and minutes ago. I think this now will not be enough to pull him back in the game.
Well, that's one of the big reasons why having the containment on your opponent is so strong in TVT, is that you allow bases like this to be taken without the opportunity for harassment. Apple's been stuck on his side of the map in his little corner over in top right for such a long time. He's finally getting these opportunities to start pushing around. He's actually going to kill off some of these tanks, but a drop is coming out over to the 12 o'clock. Oh, he's not going to eat that mine connection, and he's going to be able to take over this spot. Ample really can't do much about this as Sharp starts to crush this base at 12, one of the last mining bases that Ample can rely on.
Yeah, I mean, just these little extra moves of like laying down the mines on top of the siege tanks and really preventing it being a cost-efficient solution available to Ample to clean up on aisle 5 and just reestablish those bases. Those are the little finesse plays that I was talking about that really set apart Sharp from some of these other guys. And it's a shame because Ample is a really strong player. You can see that reflected here by how he's held his own against Sharp for so long. But I promise you, now the writing is on the wall for Ample. It looked like there was a glimmer of hope for him from harassing those SCV lines, taking out this base at 6 o'clock. These are nice things, of course, but not going to be enough to come back in a game like this against Sharp. Sharp has established himself, accomplished the goals he set out to, and now will look for killing blows on Ample. It might take him a good 5 to 15 minutes to close out this game. Such is the nature of TVT, but he's in such a commanding position that it's going to be tough for Ample to win from here.
So what do we need to see from Ample in order to bring this one back and actually take this game off of Sharp? We need to see some huge mine connections Some bad moves from Sharp, moving into tank lines when he really shouldn't be. Overextensions from him. +3 is done for Ample, so it's a possibility, but it looks like Ample's the one who's going to be making those moves, kind of walking into that tank line, getting the later siege up, and losing a lot of these tanks.
He needs to split the map in half and not be too cocky. He's being a little bit too cocky with his tank positioning right now in the center, and it's going to start to be punished a little bit by Sharp, who's a bit more on top of things. Has these drop ships coming down to this bottom right pocket as well. This quadrant of the map will be dealt with, and slowing down these expansions is a crippling blow to Ample. Sharp is really hobbling him here. He is going to be able to maybe hold on to this CC in the natural, but I mean, it's not enough to come back in this game. Ample has some of the right ideas. He needs to come down here to the southern threshold of the map with those tanks, secure the lanes to expand down here, but the way he went about it lacked the kind of finesse necessary to have any kinds of hopes for the stars to align for him, Sam.
Yeah, 60 supply advantage now. Sharp looking for that closer. A small contingent of dropships going to come down here to the bottom left, but there's so many different targets. It's a target-rich area. That base right there might not even be worth it for Ample to try and drop on. He'd like to get into this main base so he can hold that high ground, start to clear out all the locations from Sharp, but here comes the counter drop on top of everything. This is going to get cleaned up, and I think Ample's just about out of time.
Yeah, Sharp's just too good, man. Like, it's not like Ample played bad in this game. If anything, Ample showed us why he is, like, doing so well online. He is definitely a very formidable contender. But Sharp, he's literally a gourmet chef right now against one of the best line cooks there is, and there's that little bit of extra X factor thrown onto the plate with just extra care and delicate hands that Ample is not able to contend with. It's a 3 Michelin star chef versus a guy that's just finally got his first Michelin star, and even though Ample is definitely holding to his namesake and providing ample work rate to his play, it's not enough to close it out against Sharp, unfortunately.
Yeah, too much finesse shown by Sharp. You'll love to see it, though. This guy is playing at his peak right now, and will be showing us some great games coming up in the round of 16, no doubt, here with 80 supply in advantage. It's nearly impossible at this point. We were theorizing, you know, ways that potentially Ample could win this game, but he's just about as dead as Stork was in that game versus Ample earlier.
At this point, that's for sure, saying it's really rapidly approaching even more dramatic situation than that. He's about to tap out, I think, but he is a grinder of a player, so he's going to play this like he can still win. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why he's so good at grinding out ladder points, is that he stays in the game no matter what's happening, and there's been games where it looked really hopeless, and he's slowly been able to turn them back around into a win. He's going to attempt that here, but unfortunately for Sharp, he's not going to make the kind of blunders that are necessary for that comeback to come into fruition. You can see a few tactical positioning of units here from Sharp, just slowing down Ample from taking this base in the bottom right. He's essentially on just this one base worth of mining now. 3 o'clock's about to be completely dry here, whereas Sharp has 3 mining bases saturated, so he's firing on all cylinders. The 3-to-1 ratio of economy is just going to be such a deficit to overcome for Ample.
Yeah, there's the way that you end up coming back in a game like this is your opponent starts to get a little bit too comfortable.
Right.
They stop really playing their heart out, and you know you can find a way to come back in the game, but that's not going to happen here at ASL. No. Sharp knows that his tournament life is on the line, and so he's not going to stop. He's not going to put the foot off the brake until this man is out of the game. He is waiting for him to leave. But he's not just waiting, he's putting the pedal absolutely to the floor, and he is forcing him out of this game.
Yeah, and this is how we expect players to play at the ASL level. Like, you don't get to the ASL level by being complacent. When you're ahead, you get more ahead, and he's done a great job of that here, establishing map control and dominance in the center, rapidly expanding to consolidate his lead, and now he's tentatively harassing and pushing down Ample and really leaning on his opponent. And that's basically StarCraft 101, leaning on your opponent, applying pressure while growing yourself back at home. And Sharp has done that to almost perfection.
There's a few pockets of units remaining around the map, but Ample is basically on an island, and he's about to be dropped here. Sharp preparing for that final blow. He's a little bit hesitant to go for it just yet. He's probably going to bring together a few more units before he goes for that. Ample has a lot of dropships here as well. He's going to look to counter drop most likely wherever Sharp decides to go. Looks like Sharp's decided possibly going to that high ground. No, he's following the dropships of Ample, and he sees Ample moving towards the main base. Looks like he wants to counter drop this location, try to get on top of the game plan here, try to get on top of this production line and see if he can't make this game even more scrappy. Sharp coming up with these drop ships and has a lot of units inside the main. He's just got too many units absolutely everywhere. It is a numbers game at this point.
Yeah, I understand the thinking here from Ample. He wants to somehow get use out of these units that are stranded and containing this natural third as well. So it is a good location to attack. I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. Looks like Sharp going to counter drop now in the bottom right to try and upset this expansion effort for him. It's going to be really tough to break up into this position without his own fleet of dropships being able to leverage. And you can see now just so many units showing up to be elevated into that bottom right pocket as well. Oh man, he's just going to drop onto the natural here and pretty much force a tap out from Ample. That's going to be all she wrote, unfortunately. In a few moments, you're going to see a big sigh from Ample and the two dreaded letters that have to be typed. There's the head tilt. Here comes the GG. It is what it is. But I mean, what can you say? He held his own. He played valiantly. Finally, we get the confirmation that our prediction was correct, originally saying Sharp is going to be joining Larva in the round of 16, and a very depleted Ample tugging out his earphones. He fought well. He showed why he's considered one of the best players online, but it's not enough for this maestro over here.
You know, it's a bit of a strange path that we took to get here, but we didn't expect that game on Screaming Sea. I don't think Sharp was ready for that either, man. That was a intense Crazy Sir game on Screaming Sea, and Sharp had to go the long way, but he makes it through into the round of 16. I'm happy about it, Xun. This guy absolutely deserves this win after what he showed today. I mean, his TVT certainly on par with the greats.
Yeah, it's really special what we see here in ASL season. Has some kind of craziness to it. Everyone's just like turned up to 11, it seems. And we've got more great groups coming up, saying I think Group B is JYJ, Bisou, Speed, and Baby. That's going to be absolutely nuts, mainly because I'm psyched about how well Baby is going to be playing. I mean, Speed's in that group as well, but Baby's kind of taking the role of Speed from previous tournament, I think. Baby is this guy that has in his blood. He played from the age of 9. He was playing in online tournaments. He got drafted into a pro gamer team we made Fox at the age of 12. Can you imagine being so good at StarCraft that a pro gamer team is picking you up before you're even technically a teenager? That's why this guy is called Baby. And I really think like he has the potential to cause a major upset in that group coming up in Group B. I think Bisou's been working a lot harder. I think he's not going to have as much of a blunder as he did in that ASL season 19. So my prediction is going to be Bisou and Baby somehow making out of that Group B tomorrow.
I think TY has so much potential, man. I'm really excited to see what he can do. in this tournament and in the future as well. Like maybe we could see TY become dominant at some point in the future. He was certainly strong in StarCraft 2. He put out some amazing performances. He was able to win the GSL countless times. I can't even remember it because I stopped following StarCraft 2 during Heart of the Swarm, but I know he was incredible in StarCraft 2. And now coming into StarCraft 1, I mean, it's so cool to have him here and bringing up the Terrans. We've had so many StarCraft 2 Zergs switch over. I'm really glad we got a Terran player switching over as well.
Yeah, I mean, Baby's been tearing it up in K-League recently. He's been performing really well. And yeah, like I say, StarCraft's literally in his blood. He eats, sleeps, and breathes StarCraft, even when he hasn't been playing for a long time and when he first comes back to playing. The mechanics are just internalized for this guy. Those young minds are like sponges, saying, and he soaked up StarCraft from a very young age. So he's a very formidable opponent. He's been playing in the StarCraft scene, Casper era, for a very long time as well. He's obviously a lot younger than some of these other guys. He's actually, I think, 30 though now. So it's crazy to think about that. One of the youngest pro gamers of all time is now 30 years old. But a lot of these other guys, you know, they're 35, approaching 40s. So that's not too crazy in the grand scheme of things. Really well-deserved win here today from Sharp and Larva. I think Ample not really happy about Larva winning against Sharp here, because I think he was kind of hoping to be able to play a TVZ in this finals match against Larva, and I think he had a stronger hope of beating Larva than Sharp for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Stork did not show up this season of ASL. Just kind of a lackluster performance from him. Ample definitely showing his class, and Sharp with the finesse as usual, able to put out some great games. Larva just somehow finagling that win versus Sharp. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this game with him on Screaming Sea, because that was definitely one of the more interesting games that we had today. And Screaming Sea is turning out to be a pretty interesting map. I mean, I've had some crazy games on that map, and I've tried a similar style to what Larva did, but it's so cool to see what a pro gamer can do on a crazy map like that.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these guys will have a lot of innovations and how to tackle some of the awkwardness of the geometry of that map. It has been designed to be a bit anti-sulky / Zerg. We'll see, though. I mean, I've seen a lot of these Zergs come up with very good solutions to these maps, and I don't know, man. We might be seeing another tournament where Sulky is the reigning champion. Although I know, variety is the spice of life. We all want a little bit of change here. How crazy would it be if, say, someone like Larva or one of these other Zergs takes out Sulky in a mirror matchup and we have a totally different champion? I would definitely like to see it myself.
We've got so many great Zerg players in this tournament. Here we've got Effort is in there. And of course, Soma is back from the military. Jaedong has been performing like a god lately, getting 2 all kills back to back, 2 weeks in a row on the KCM cast. So just absolutely chopped full of strong Zerg players this season. Sulky may not be able to find a way to avoid ZVZ entirely as we go forward and deeper in this tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, great start to the tournament, saying I'm already super enjoying this. Like, I was right to have a hard time sleeping. I probably have a slightly harder time sleeping tonight as well. It really does feel like a new gift under the tree to unwrap every time an ASL group rolls on by. Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, we will be casting ASL back-to-back live on superlive.com/SCTV. And let's do one quick last plug for our Patreon as well, saying that's on the patreon.com/SaiyanZun duocasts. Just search for SaiyanZun, scroll down, and it will be there. We appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown us, and we intend to bring you great casts here at the ASL, SCSL, KCM, and many more tournaments and games to come.
Yeah, we've had such a fun time casting together. We started out in kind of a humble, uh, in a very humble way, just putting together casts for you guys of the KCM, and it's so amazing that we're here having this opportunity now to cast ASL for you guys, and we couldn't have done it without you. All of your support is greatly appreciated. We'll see you tomorrow for Group B. JYJ, Bisu, Speed, and Baby. Guys, 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time for the live cast, or you can catch it later on StarCastTV. Thank you guys, and we'll see you there.
Thanks, guys.